That's right. In the Valentine's Day theme there, I've got the one, the only Spaz Phoenix here with me. That's right, my friend. We went old school, a little bit of doo-wop 50s for the sweet ever Valentines of the Vengeance Day WWE NXT show. How you doing tonight, my sexy co-host?
I was going to say, I don't know where you're going with the intro tonight. I had a really good time with this show, and as you say, the Valentine's Day thing, I love them referring to this pay-per-view constantly as your yearly Valentine's Day alternative. I think that's really cool. It reminds me of when Survivor Series used to be like the Thanksgiving tradition.
Yeah,
I think
no
that's
doubt
a
about
really
it.
neat thing to tie it to. For those
I
of
like
you
it when it
that don't know,
connects to holidays. Yeah, I wish they could incorporate St. Patrick's Day with the Chamber. I think that would be really cool somehow.
Well, for those of you that don't know, we have Family Day up here in Canada, so this is a long weekend. So if they make a point of always putting it on the long weekend, I'm going to be 100% down for that. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And shout out to everybody in the chat. What's going on? Let us know if you can hear us loud and clear. Coming to you. Everybody should be coming through on the right mic this time. I have all the settings set properly, so if you can't hear me clearly... Hey, man,
I got no shame. I put it in the chat already. Let us know if you can't hear us. Let us know if you can't see us. We were having Skype issues.
I just checked it, and we sound magnificent. Not good. Coming through this rinky-dink son of a bitch or that one. I've got lights everywhere, so hopefully I'm illuminated enough with the green screen. I was going to say,
you got green screen Jones going on. I'm still dealing with like whatever Skype lets me do with my background.
But it still looks good. That's the thing. Because we're two sexy boys.
Mean, there's four of my favorites behind me, so we're doing all right.
We had a pretty damn good night. I was very entertained.
Yep.
They started off white hot, and they finished really good. There's a bit of intrigue with Shield 2.0 or 3.0 or Retribution 4.0, whatever we're at this point in time with Shield remakes. But still, there's a lot of like, oh God, look what's on the horizon. Even the Zarya and Sol Ruka thing was fun, and it kind of advanced the story because it's ingratiating you to her, and it's making you like her. And because you already like Sol Ruka, obviously, and people are curious about Zarya. They don't really know much of her, so it's cool to give her this like tough, badass persona that Sol's like slowly chipping away from, and getting to see a little bit more of her humanity. But it was a really good show tonight. Pretty much exactly.
I'm not gonna lie, there were dips, but there was nothing bad.
Exactly. No, there were a few lulls, but I think it kind of had to be that way to accentuate some other things throughout the night. I mean, they gave us some great matches. This is what tag team wrestling is all about. The other night, when we reviewed, and you guys can go ahead and check it out on this channel, we reviewed the 2025 Royal Rumble PLE, and one of my thoughts was like, the DIY match, we've seen them tear it up in stellar performances before, so it was really, really upsetting to not have them pull out that great performance at the Rumble. So when you see tag team wrestling at its finest, I mean, Fraxium, those guys are machines. I know some of it's taped with TNA, but how many bouts have they been a part of in the last 3 weeks? I think they've wrestled 14 times. They're absolutely insane. It's incredible. And look at this. We got Bob D. Moon. We got Liz, Juan, everybody in the chat. We got Cody as well.
Judgment Day era.
That's right.
Hello.
He knows I always got his back. That's what's up. Show the proof. That's what I say. But we'll get to that. Any event, this was a fun night. They started off white hot, as I said. Stephanie Vacour, D. Moon says that's his mom. I agree. Let me know her number. But Fallon Henley, the North American Women's Champion, not for long, spoiler, taking on Stephanie Vacour. This felt like a final conclusion. You and I both said if she doesn't win here, I mean, they could have pulled the route that Julia had where she lost and then had to... and it could be possible with obviously Fallon Henley. She's always got Jane and Nix there, so she's got the numbers game with the fatal retribution, isolation, attraction,
fatal influence,
influence, not attraction. I always forget which one we're on.
Before we get into the match, I'll tell you a nice.
No, please.
And I don't know why it stuck out to me tonight because they're doing it on Raw and SmackDown more and more as well. I like there being stars in the crowd. I like their was it Kalani Jordan, Jada Parker, um, somebody else I'm forgetting, probably Carmen Petrovic, because they're going to have a triple threat match next week on
Yeah,
NXT for a
Lola
number one
Vice
contendership.
is one.
Lola Vice was one, and I see a lot of people online saying, "Oh, imagine going all the way to a pay-per-view and all you have to do is sit in the crowd." And I'm like, well, it makes a hell of a lot more sense than, oh, they're standing at a very awkward angle in the back watching. Like, why wouldn't they just be in the crowd scouting the talent, or sorry, scouting the title that they want to go after?
I get you.
What struck me, and it's not a new thing, is Fatal Influence is basically two goths and a cowgirl. It's the sequel. Sequel to Two Girls, One Cup.
And then you look at Chemical X, and you're like,
oh,
three goths and
I need to see Chemical X doing some more stuff.
But one last time, I'm going to take a cheap plug. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Vengeance Day stream. We're going to be doing a lot more on the way up to WrestleMania, so hit the subscribe button down below. Click the like. You could click dislike. It's okay, but make sure you comment. I agree with Bob and everybody else. Trick needs to be on Raw. He's desperately needed to be called up, so it has to happen soon. One of the highlights in this house, because I torture Danny with it, every time he comes out, I blare it. If I'm on my headphones, I put it on the speakers, just so she can hear Booker T. Yeah. Here. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
See,
you know,
what's like better than that is first of all, like Trick's entrance is obviously over, and he gets the chant from the crowd and all that kind of thing, and then obviously Booker T gets the freestyling in there. Booker T's reaction to whenever Stephanie Vacour does what I affectionately call the skull fucking finale.
I love it. Yes. Yeah. She opened with that again, and everybody on Twitter is just like, clip that.
She opened trying for it, and it failed. She didn't get it until later in the match.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, right away, everybody was like, oh, they're getting ready to clip it. You know, like, as soon as she goes for that, that's the meme-worthy moment of the night, because everybody just wants to slow-mo her ass, of course, but...
Our girl's a little cheeked up, but Fallon Henley...
Thick mommy, both ladies.
Huge, like... I've been a big fan of Fallon Henley for a long time. I'm one of the ones, when they called up Kiana James to the main roster, no offense to Kiana James, I'm like, how did you not call up Fallon Henley?
Yeah,
but I'm pretty sure this is the best. I mean,
and look what they did with Kiana James, sadly.
Well, she's had procedures. And
I know, but I'm saying they didn't even have a plan for her really when they called her up. Admittedly, they were. Well,
they were gonna. I think they were gonna do another version of what Sonya Deville did for Adam Pearce. They were going to have her be like the GM's administrator, and it's like that.
But if that was the case, you can do that while injured, so they still would have done something.
I think they might have pulled it back, because that's literally what's going on with Robert Stone and Stevie Turner as well. But anyways, my point being, I've been a big proponent of Fallon Henley for a long time, before the group, before the heel turn. And all that being said, I still think this is my favorite match of hers. And it's in a losing effort, so it's hard to have your best match in a losing effort. But, I mean, this was Stephanie's match. Let's be real for a second.
Absolutely. I'm pulling the chat. I want to see what they give tonight out of 10. I don't have an answer yet, because I'm all over the place. Sadly, like I always go by emotions and then logic.
There's 10s and 5s here for me. There's nothing that failed, but there's definitely 10s and 5s. So it's all over the map.
That ending to the pay-per-view tonight is so incredible, because so Jordan Grace, the big surprise, is she in NXT officially now? Like,
yes.
Does this mean yes? I think so, right?
Well, they said it on commentary, and she came out with the modern version of the We Are NXT.
Yeah, so I hope it's short-lived, but I was kind of hoping she just bypassed NXT personally. Sith agreed. A few others were like, "Yeah, I don't hate it, because I want to see some of the. I definitely want to see her and Julia, her and Stephanie. Like, there's matches I want to see, but I was hoping we would see those.
Her and Zarya's the
especially.
Match for NXT.
That is the match. And Stand and Deliver, her and Zarya. You kind of hope Zarya's like tag champ at that point with Sol Ruka.
We'll get to it later on. But it feels very much to me.
But that like pop, I mean, once the siren hit, people went nuts.
I love that she owns her.
The Juggernaut is here. I
love that she owns her music, and she was able to bring it with her.
Yeah. She said she wasn't going to go anywhere without her music, so that's a cool thing. I like that people are doing that nowadays. I appreciate that, because your music is as much a part of you as any, your attire, your, finisher, all of it. It all matters. And we know that, how music, it brings you back to a point.
The only thing I would say is if you're somebody that's and it could be either way, this is not an AEW, WWE, NXT, blah, blah, blah thing. If you're getting ready to leave a place and personally you're thinking, I really don't like my music, I really do need something new, going to this new place is my opportunity to do that. That it's a separate situation, but we have to. Was it what's her name? Shayna Baszler when she came to the main roster, because I loved her music in NXT. And apparently the music
Queen
that she
the
music that she had briefly on the main roster before she became part of PFC.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
I didn't care for it either, but I saw her in an interview, and she actually apparently had a hand in making that main roster music.
It still doesn't mean it's great. I mean, I think the previous song,
it makes
me understand it, I guess.
Yeah. It's like what
I don't
were we talking
like
about?
it, but
what were we talking about the other night? Like when Joe Hennig was renamed as Curtis Axel.
Yes,
and it's like the name sounds kind of lame, but they brought an explanation along with it, and it's like, okay, you can slot that in and make it part of your reception. If not Sonya Deville, good blessings to her wherever she's going. But Shayna Baszler, if she had a hand in her music and that's the music that maybe she even wanted all along, then I find it harder to be against that. I don't have to like it, but I don't have anything more positive, but it pulls away the negative.
No, you're absolutely right, and I get that. And there are justifications, and that can be added later on that may make you care for something, more than you had previously. But with this, I was just
like Seth Rollins' music. The music that he has right now isn't great.
No.
What's great about his music is what the fans have done.
The crowd participation. Like the Cody Woe was not a thing until he came back to WWE. They never did that in AEW with his music. The Woe, if you go back and check it out, even Chris Van Vliet has a short about it saying, like, the Woe picked up shortly after the Raw at Mania when the fans did it there, and it just continued because his pyro was the Cody Vader on the first Raw. Remember, they had the little platform, and he came out, and that's where the pyro hit. It wasn't at the Woe yet, so they changed it later on. It's fun to see the evolution of things. That's
what he brought over from AEW was what do you guys want to talk about?
Well, he did have the Cody Vader at first. They brought him to the stage at Mania, then they brought the platform, and he was like, oh, this sucks. I so love what they do now with like the quick smoke, and then he appears. I love it. But we talked about it at the Royal Rumble with the females side. We didn't know who was coming out, at least I didn't, for quite a few of the entrants until they were like, oh, that's so-and-so. Like, yeah, I recognize certain themes, but there was like 10 or 12 that I was like, I have no idea whose theme this is until...
And see, I had that debate with people. I realize I just cut you off.
Please.
A lot of the themes
There's no cutting off here. It's all fluid conversation, my friend.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about my fluids on the other channel.
Nope.
Anyways.
My OnlyFans comes later.
But there's a distinct, and you don't have to like either one of them.
No.
But there's a distinction between I don't like what that person's entrance is, and I don't know what that person's entrance is. Like, I don't particularly like, what's a good example? Liv Morgan. I like Liv Morgan. I don't like her intro, but I know when her intro comes on that it's her. Like, they're two separate conversations to have, and I think a lot more of them are just entrances that we don't like, and then if there's one that we legitimately don't know, it's probably because that person just isn't on TV as much.
Yeah, no, because there was even a few that I was like just not familiar with for whatever reason, or they sound similar, and we'll have to look like particular at one point. But I remember commenting on it on the Rumble, being like, until that graphic came up, I was really just lost. I was like, hey, what the hell? Who's coming out?
The one that threw me, and I don't mind it, is Finn Balor's new theme. And it's not because it's a bad theme. It's because when was the last time Finn Balor had a singles match?
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm trying
AJ Styles, to be fair, went back to his old music that people didn't dislike.
Yeah, so that was easy to pick up, no doubt. But now you got me curious. So I want to bring it up. So we had up until Roxanne. All right, so Lyra Valkyria's I knew, and Chelsea Green. So B-Fab, Ivy Nile, Zoe Stark.
Okay, B-Fab has had like that. Okay, you're sort of getting to my point now. Just
They're
recently,
not on TV much, and
just recently she was with the Street Profits, so she was using their music. She was tag teaming with Mi Chin, so she was using her. They were both coming out to Mi Chin's music, so you've probably only heard it like once or twice.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
Lyra's I know because I'm an NXT guy. Zoe Stark using the American-made music, Maxine Dupree using the American Alpha music.
Bianca Belair's I knew, but Shayna Baszler's theme, I was like, oh, wait. And then, obviously, I know Bailey's, but Sonya Deville, Maxine Dupree's I knew, but I didn't know Sonya's. Jada Parker's I didn't recognize off the bat because she wasn't using the other one there, the OTM
Jada Parker,
stable.
they gave her a new theme for the Rumble.
Yeah. I didn't recognize Piper Niven's. I didn't recognize Meechin's. Zelina Vega's I didn't recognize. And somebody else. But it just goes to show, and I'm being honest, and I do watch weekly, so I am not keeping up with AEW as much anymore, but weekly keeping up with that. Woo.
Don't they have a show tonight?
Yeah, I am keeping tabs on that. I do want to see what people are thinking because we got Mariah May, Toni Storm, Okada, Buddy Matthews. Like there will be good matches tonight. That's not the issue. It's just they have such a story.
Normally,
problem.
For anybody listening right now or anybody in the chat, normally I would plug my Twitter at some point throughout the show. Don't go on my Twitter if you don't want spoilers for the what did I call it? The Mud Show Grand Scam.
Well, see, here's the thing. I went to Grand Slam. We went twice. Danny and I got to go. So the first time I was in New York at the hospital, like totally unrelated, and I had tweeted something about where I was in New York, and Tony and I had talked. I want to say like 6 months before that.
Hey, your buddy Tony.
Yeah, and he had DM'd me about somebody lying about them taking down their YouTube channel. So he was like, "Hey, this isn't true. This didn't happen," and he let us know. So we reported it, and it was a little bit of news. And for whatever reason, the DMs, just stayed open. And he messaged me. He's like, "Oh, you're nearby. What are you doing?" And I told him, "Hey, I'm at the hospital. I've been really sick. I haven't been around." And he's like, "Can you make it to wherever by 3:00?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually not far from where I am." It was like 3 blocks up. And when I went there was an AEW rep, and they gave us passes to go to Grand Slam. And I was like, oh, shit. So we went to the first one, and then he invited us the second year. So we went and, we saw the second year was when they had Saraya and the Acclaimed won the tag titles. Like there was Moxley against Bryan, and Moxley won for the title because Punk brawl out just happened. So it was really like this crazy time, and to see Grand Slam be such a positive and like enthralling memory for me, Danny, like to now have it be just like such a bad former shell of itself and have it fall from grace so consecutively, it's really upsetting. But getting back into the main,
and on the balance, right?
Like, yeah, no, please
on the balance, because we get painted with that. Oh, you guys are so mean to AEW. One thing I'll say about tonight, and you said
I supported him for years. I tried to, ring that bell.
You said it tonight when we were chatting during the show. Like the building looks great. It's a cool venue that I don't think I've ever seen before. WWE does a great job of making little things look bigger, and then we made some dick jokes.
Well, I said that's what I say to my wife: make something small look big, and she does the best she can.
Skills.
But
like
depth perception sucks. I love that lady.
We can dig at AEW. Very cool, interesting new venue that I've never seen before. I wish NXT didn't have to go to smaller venues. I wish they were doing like takeover numbers.
Yeah, this was a cool place.
It was a cool place. It was pretty intimate and it was cool, but it's not a case of, we'll only point out the numbers when it's a TNA thing, because they had to go from a stadium to a much smaller arena. I mean, to be fair, this was a good show tonight. Yeah,
it was from the Care First Arena in Washington, D.C. I just fixed the description. It pulled in some of the Royal Rumble facts, so it had that in there. But yeah, they were right in D.C. And funny enough, there were people looking for seeking job opportunities in Washington, D.C. If you were able to read cursive, the National Library of Congress is looking for people to actually be able to read cursive. They can't find anybody to read and dictate, so they're looking to for old files.
We live in clown world, man. We live in absolute clown world.
I'm telling you. But like I said, the reason that we're here, Vengeance Day, we're talking about Fallon Henley, Stephanie Vacour. Like you said, we got a funny ref you suck chant in the very beginning because Jordan, JC Jane got a cheap shot, and I always want to say Jasmine Nix is Jordan Nix. Don't mind me, but we got Stephanie's little like ride maneuver where she rides her like a bull. That was funny, and they got some great moments here. But it was a solid match. I'm glad they gave them a lot of time. Like towards the end, she goes ahead and she hits Menley with that implant buster on her knees on the apron, and I'm like, Jesus, that's gotta hurt. And then she hits everybody with a crossbody off the ringside, and then she gets the shoulder driver, the package shoulder driver, and then the corkscrew moonsault for the victory. And I'm like, yeah, here we go. That's what I was trying to say before, actually, is that it was pretty much as you and I had predicted. You especially called the new Shield 2.0 group to go ahead and be there. And you said that they would come out during the tag match. So
do you know why I love NXT? Because we have a lot of fun, and there's some stuff that I like to say, hey, I called that just because to me it sounds predictable and whatever. Twice tonight, they did something that I called and then made it better.
Yeah, because you called these twice, and that's what I was saying during our preview predictions. During the tag match.
You did. Because it's 4 people, and that's the only time you're going to have 4 dudes in the ring. And they did it, and then they doubled down on it later on in the night when they went after Femi, which we'll talk about
because
later.
4 men equals 1 over Femi?
Well, fair.
I think that's fair.
I mean, that's absolutely fair.
Absolutely. So, yeah, Stephanie and Fallon, they tore the house down. Maybe we'll get a special guest. Maybe we'll get Danny joining in for the NXT review. That would be nice. We'll see what happens. But we went ahead and we got spoiled here. This was a great victory for Stephanie, and Fallon looks great in defeat. But she needs to go to the main roster now. She would do wonders on SmackDown. While we're talking about
like horrible entrances, Stephanie Vacour's entrance is pretty good. And they don't do too much with it. They just...
The fog, the red light, Stephanie's entrance, the entire package. When she walks out with the horns, she's everything. And her English has gotten damn good in a very short time because she has only been learning, they said, for since May, I think, May or June, whenever when did she sign?
Oh, I don't...
It was what? Yeah. Not long ago.
Well, it was right after the match with Mercedes where she said, "Oh, if this is what I have to put up with over here, I'm going to go over there."
So I think so, yeah. I think it was like June or July she signed then. Maybe July. Regardless, is the point. She's been training English since May, she said.
I know what your response is going to be to this, and I think we've even talked about it before. But you see the new line out on in the Twitterverse now, Mercedes Moné saying, I can't tell anybody anymore who I think is a good wrestler because those other guys are going to steal them.
Yeah, no kidding. We'll see who gets stolen where. And
they went to the other place because it's not where you were.
See, you brought this up. We got to talk about it really quick. And I give this match like an 8 out of 10. I was all for it, loved it. I'm not sure where you are with it.
I was okay. If we're gonna do individual matches, I would go 9 on this.
All right, I could even give it like an 8.5. Yeah,
best match of Fallon's run.
Absolutely,
she managed to have her best run in a loss, which is hard to do. Stephanie Vacour felt so nailed on, but didn't go in there and make it feel like a squash. The other two on the outside did their part. Got bowling balled when it was time to get bowling balled, did their group cheating when it was time to group cheat.
Yeah.
It was babyface overcomes the odds without any Cena-ness.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna go.
No superheroism. No. We didn't have to go ahead and get any moment where she was like, "Oh, it was too much of a beatdown or too much of the number advantage." No, they did really well in this match because there was one point where she hits Stephanie with a pump handle suplex, and then Stephanie ends up rolling up Henley for a 2 count afterwards, and that's when Jane comes and hits her with the right hand when the ref wasn't looking, and he should have seen it, but whatever. And Stephanie starts staggering, and then Henley gets hit with the headbutt, and I'm like, oh, look at that! It turns into a back body drop.
A lot of headbutts tonight.
But Stephanie dumps Henley to ringside, and then she slammed her into the steel post. That looked rough. And I give the ladies a lot of credit here. They tore it up. to make both. Like I said, Fallon losing, she lost nothing in defeat here. The way she put herself over as a competitor and the way she handled herself in defeat was stellar. She made Stephanie become elevated in this match with this victory. So, you even said something too. You said we were going to get the Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit moment.
That was the other one. That was the other thing that I said.
God damn,
they doubled down.
Yeah, okay. They really did.
So they did the thing with the, I guess we're calling them Shield 2.0 until we find out who they actually are. They did it with the tag, like I said, not a brag. I literally did say, and then they did it again with Obafemi. At the end of
nailed it. I mean,
at the end of the night, I said that they were going to do the Stephanie Julia as a Guerrero Benoit moment. And then they doubled down on that by throwing Jordan Grace into the mix.
But you literally were like Nostradamus for Vengeance Day. I was baffled. As soon as I saw the Titantron say Stephanie Vacour, I'm like, fuck me. And what did I say to you? I was like, you nailed it. You nailed it. I was thoroughly impressed with Spaz's able
Here's
to
the problem,
predict
though, and this is something I've seen kick around. You and I might have mentioned it on the pod. I don't remember what we said 4 or 5 days ago. But a lot of people want to see this mid-card champion versus main champion, Stephanie versus Julia, sort of like a Hogan Warrior type of thing.
Yeah, and
I would love to
hold
see
off.
it. I wouldn't even do it.
I wouldn't do it at Stand and Deliver. I would wait until they're on the main roster. Really, I would tease it.
I wouldn't. No, I would have them fight in NXT.
Really? I want to save some things.
This is not the point I'm making.
I get what you're going for, but I want to save it even longer.
Right. My point is more about having it be champion versus champion, because every champion you have on the roster is an opportunity for somebody else to play the challenger, etc. So, especially in NXT, where you're developing potentially new talent, if you have two champions face each other, you're taking away two challenger opportunities from potentially two other people on the roster.
That's a great point.
Is not terrible.
No.
It's not terrible on the main roster where everybody's kind of in the same pool. It's you're stripping the developmental possibilities
you're
from
kind
that.
Of ticking it down slowly, and that's kind of the issue here. And I get that, but you know what? Thankfully, they are so well stacked in NXT. And
there's
now with the new male superstar, we'll get into that in a little bit as well. The new male superstar. I love how they didn't give him a name at all.
The new blockbuster superstar to sign his name.
His name. He'll sign his contract. Imagine if they call him his. That would be hilarious. But
no, I want them to name him him.
I want him to show up on Grand Slam Australia. I wish it was that far taped in advance that he had a match there so he could be on NXT Live.
No, but do the him thing, because that caused a lot of confusion on SmackDown between Carmelo Hayes and R-Truth.
Yeah, that was nuts.
You're not Tozawa. Your mama named you Carmelo.
You're not him.
Yo, R-Truth's the man. I'm just saying we
He's
don't
deserve
R-Truth.
He has not aged. I was actually there when Edge retired, but that was the same night R-Truth was like blowing the cigarette smoke into the face of like Cena and stuff. It was hilarious, and that is a sunrise. That looks, you're a damn good. Look at that drink mixer. I'm trying to stay with orange juice and like pineapple juice to rehydrate as much as I can with all the vomiting. It's not been fun, so
nice.
Go right ahead. That's a revolution. So Danny's over here. I got the second mic engaged.
What's up, Danny?
When you're ready, say hello.
Hello.
Hey, Danny.
You should be able to be heard. But yeah, so we go ahead, and if you notice, we got the WrestleMania sign over here, folks. That's right.
Actually, how can I?
I know. Yeah, you got to go. Nope, the other corner. There we go. There you go. But hold on, you got to go to the other corner now.
God,
that's the WrestleMania sign, and that's the Stand and Deliver sign over there. See what I did?
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi. Yeah, buddy, that's right. That's what we did. We
are on the road to Stand and Deliver. Oi, oi, oi. Anyways, take the reins for a second while I go hydrate myself.
So we go ahead and we have a great victory here. I loved it. I mean, we got a lot of development in both of the women here, and especially with the way the crowd reacted. I mean, at first when Fallon Henley was really attacking, it was kind of like, oh, she needed Fatal Influence to really help her. But then we saw Stephanie not become the Super Cena of sorts, but she was able to go ahead and conquer the odds by being better, really. I mean, and she was just one step ahead.
For long-term followers of my channel, yes, Smirnoff is still the drink of choice.
Hey, my friend, that's right. You know,
Let's
Smirnoff Ice
go.
is the way to go.
Let's go.
That's
and
for
I
sure.
just
Let's
made a
go.
mess.
But we absolutely need a drinking stream. That's for sure.
Oh God, my tolerance is bullshit. That would be the most one-sided thing ever.
Yeah, the last time we had, I think it was the preview for what was it? I think it was AEW actually.
The last time I did a drinking stream, it was with Guapo over on my channel when I still did live shit on my channel.
So, but really, they did
die.
a lot to boost the credibility tonight of the entire division with that North American belt, because we're not real. Okay, so the IC title doesn't, on the women's side on Raw, is lacking to me right now.
Well, they both are, because they both just lost qualifying matches for the Chamber.
Yeah, Chelsea got the biggest wedgie in the world and was somehow able to lose after that. So that was embarrassing. She did put out a funny statement. I sent that to you before. And she's like, wedgies are now illegal. I forget what else she said. I'll have to pull it up. But it made me laugh out loud, actually. So good on her for being able to at least, find some humor. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Juan Salazar in the chat is drinking hard Mountain Dew. That's what we need to do. Get in the chat.
Hard Mountain Dew, actually,
if you're drinking, tell us what you're drinking in the chat.
I'm sorry, Hard Mountain Dew is good. You know me, I love Baja Blast. I love Code Red. I was once a former fat ass, and my FFA, former fat ass, likes to go ahead and indulge in things every now and again. If I could,
you know what
Mountain
I used
Dew,
to love,
that's
even
the way
though
to
people
go.
find it rich and gross, is find the cheapest vodka you can find and mix it with Sunny D.
And if you run it through a filter, the cheapest vodka you can find suddenly becomes the second cheapest vodka you can find.
Bam.
Because what it does is, you just run it through a Brita, and it takes out the impurities. So, speaking of taking out the impurities...
I used to, because I was somebody who never... I don't drink a lot anyway, for those people that don't follow my channel. I've actually talked about this ages ago. Yes. Every now and then I'll have a Smirnoff or whatever, but I don't really care for the taste of alcohol. And Sunny D is like thick and rich enough that like it covers it. You can basically pour yourself a glass of Sunny D and then just keep throwing the vodka in there after the fact. And it's called a sundown because it's Sunny D and eventually you fall down.
What are you talking about? Hey, that's it, my friend. You're catching on quick. That's right.
All right. Cheers to everybody in the chat.
Cheers to everybody in the chat. Even Liz said she's going.
She's going blast hard.
Liz is going to Raw this Monday, so she's going to be there in person, and she's got the Road to Yeetamania sign. She's drinking Dr. Pepper and nice. Jack, we'll call it. So here we go. Everybody down the hatch, but
everybody mad that Jey Uso got what he should have had like 2 years ago.
Yeah, forever ago. So we go ahead and we get into, as I said before, taking away the impurities. We took out the impure tag team wrestling that we've had. And we had one of the best tag team matches I've seen in a few weeks anyways. So, and that's saying a lot because Fraxium have been on a world tour of tag opponents. The only ones they haven't faced so far, as so many people have
Liz went
to
Raw this past Monday.
Right? So they've not
pointed at the
faced,
sign and all, she said.
Yeah, she is going to. So this past Monday, excuse me. I messed up. This past Monday. That's right. I saw her. Not this Monday. My time is way off. Don't mind me. She was already there. That's right. I saw her in
Get
person.
away from that window.
I haven't slept in 2 days, so don't mind me. My brain is way off on target. So we go ahead and we got Fraxium in TNA. They have wrestled repeatedly and put on some of the best tag matches over there. They've wrestled in NXT. They've wrestled elsewhere. They've been on even the house show tour. They've been all over the place. So taking on Yoshiki and Amora.
Who did they wrestle last in NXT? The last team they wrestled, they've been pursued by Briggs and Inamura for a couple of weeks. The last ones they actually wrestled was, I think, OTM.
Yes, yeah, OTM was the last
and then they went over to the TNA side. They did the
live show.
Yeah,
against
the live
Rascals
show with the Rascals,
and then after that they did the
Nemeth brothers, which is really good.
And that was so good. They actually had me for a minute. I was like, I could see the Nemeth brothers winning and trying to tell a story, because with what they're pushing for the TNA, relationship, They so far have done a great job elevating both companies.
Everybody
I've been
says
totally
that like
impressed.
one of the crossover people that they would like to see come from TNA to NXT is Nick Nemeth, which is it's a little former WWE ish.
I like where he is now. He doesn't do it for me in WWE.
No. Like crossing over as a TNA visitor.
Yeah, no,
right?
I get it, but
here's the way you get around that. If it's not Nick Nemeth comes back to NXT for a night, or even Dolph Ziggler comes back to NXT for a night, if it's the Nemeth brothers coming for a tag title shot,
yeah,
I think that puts an entirely different spin on it, and I wouldn't mind. His little brother doing his little obnoxious bit right now is a bit much.
I actually like it. I think it fits because he's so like on the nepotism scale that it fits perfectly.
He
reminds me of
Vicky Guerrero.
Well, actually, I was going to say, the male Vicky Guerrero or Hulk Hogan's son.
Oh,
nepotism at its finest. I mean, really, he reminds me.
But the way he's done,
Hogan knows best. I mean, if you watched any of those,
I didn't.
Ryan Nemeth,
Vicky Guerrero's "Excuse Me" has now been replaced with "My brother."
My brother. Yeah, exactly. We know we're going to see Fraxium and the Hardys. Title for title.
I'm surprised we didn't see that
something
tonight,
like that.
I
thought they were going to have the Hardys come out and challenge them. Honestly, I thought that was one thing we didn't predict. But so we had Briggs, Inamara taking on Frazier and Axiom. Just at the start of this, the crowd was wild. And, when they got the big boots from Briggs, when he hit Frazier and Axiom with both the big boots, like the crowd was chanting nonstop. We got "This is awesome" chants when we got like the backbreaker and power bomb for that big near fall. That was a great moment. Frazier did like the enziguri, like kind of like Seth does, and then Briggs hits Axiom with a clothesline, and then all of a sudden Axiom catches Briggs and hits him with the poison rana, and I was like, it wasn't
the way Inamura goes at them too, and he sort of like centers himself in the ring, and I don't know if it's technically a sumo stance, but it brings to mind what I think of when I think of like sumo wrestling.
Yeah,
the way he like strongly bases himself in the center of the ring and then, goes to attack somebody is really cool. And it's just as simple as somebody that walks around a little bit different, or somebody that jumps a little bit different, or somebody that moves a little bit different.
Contrasting different styles. And what's going on, Kratos? Good to see you, bud. But new to the stream, glad to see you there, my friend. A long time since we've seen MK3 Kratos in here, so glad to have you back, bud. But yeah, no, so Briggs really, like, coming out with the skull, he's the big, brooding badass, and like you said, having Inamura as the more, like, technical / Samoan / like you said, kind of having that type of style.
He's got this, like...
It's definitely like the Japanese influence style, yeah.
They're both... Well, yes, there's that element to it.
Because he's doing like the Death Valley Driver, and he's doing, so he has that New Japan era or aura, excuse me.
But they're playing off that story of they became a team while Briggs was the visitor over in Noah, and now Inamura is the visitor
playing
here.
Up on, so they're playing up on both of them, hitting on each other's styles and.
But there's two different, like, they're two big powerhouse guys, and Briggs looks serious, looks like I'm at home, I'm comfortable, like, I'm confident, whatever. Inamura comes in with confidence, but there's a little sort of hint of, like, really excited to be here, really happy to be here. Oh, man, this is all new and cool.
You get that
like,
little bit.
He's got that little bit of newness, even though it's not like, he's not coming in like a dork, he's not coming in like any other new signee just happy to be here, but he's kind of happy to be there. The charge up splash thing that he does on the top rope is hilarious.
Vengeance Day was great. I still don't have a rating yet, but Kratos is watching on playback, and I know Cody was behind live as well, not realizing it started at 6. It ended very early. Like, I was expecting
2.5 hours.
Yeah, and everything was perfectly paced, too. Like, nothing overstayed its welcome. I would be very happy if I paid for this and saw this in person. Like, this was... perfect.
Oh, sure.
And with I expected a little bit longer of length because usually they do 3 hours and 5 matches. So having a 6 match, I was like, oh, it's going to be like 3.5 hours. But it was an hour less. But there was no promos, no in between, no sketches, no just the Sol Ruka and Zarya thing. Besides that, there was like very. They had.
I will say
They had a little bit with Ava.
I'm gonna go. Well, that was pertinent to the night. Yeah. I will say, and this has been a thing in TNA pay-per-views for. Hey, see money in the chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Oh, your super chat's making me pee my pants. All right, that's cool. All right. Oh, it's talking about my contributions over on the Wrestling for Life Network.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to chill.
You were making them pop. C-Money, yeah, because Spaz is the man. Absolutely, C-Money. You know that.
I was making a point there, and it's gone now.
Hey, that's okay. We can always go back to it. Well,
yes, I was. Okay. So, the one thing that TNA shows have pay-per-views have done in the past little while that they're not bad, but I could do with it a bit less, is putting in little segments that don't have to do with the pay-per-view that could have been on the next week. Like the thing with Stax, he wants revenge against Sean Spears and his group for what they did to Tony D. Awesome promo. I like Stax. I think he's
that. And Stax saying he's going to take up for the family, and this gives him a chance to actually be like, hey, our leader's beat down. Let me take up the mantle. Let me fight for us. Because like you said, Stax is really underrepresented most times. He's really just a lackey. So this gives him a chance to step up in that like leadership role and let us see what he can do. What if he's fantastic and blows us away? They're going to get what is the key here? Opportunity. And speaking of opportunity,
I do think Stax is really, really underrated as a promo because he's a sidekick type character.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was that. There was the training thing with Solruka and Zarya, which again,
sharing her ice cream cracked me up. Yeah. I don't know why that got me, but as soon as you saw it fall and she like gave her, I was like, all right, you can see the humanity side of Zarya being, like I said, chipped away slowly. She's getting through the layers.
That's an awesome segment for this week's episode of NXT. I don't need what feels like it should be on next week's episode on the pay-per-view because it pulls away from what the draws of the night are. Super nitpicky on my part, but it's a little disjointed. It's like I want to watch NXT and look forward to the pay-per-view. I don't want to be in the middle of a pay-per-view looking forward to next week's NXT.
Yeah, it's not quite where we want it.
It's a little disjointed. None of it's bad. That's the other part.
No, it's been great.
For criticizing it. But.
Shout out to Paul 3 in the chat as well. You know, I've still got the CDs right over yonder. But, you know, live fast and leave a good-looking corpse, right? I'm telling you, though,
the box sideways on the way out.
If only. Hey, you know what? I can fit in an urn now, so I'm happy. But this match left nothing to the imagination. I really liked what we got here. I didn't care about people saying, oh, there was kind of like a rush booking. I didn't feel like that with this. No. I felt like it made sense.
They've been chasing them for like for weeks I don't want to say a month, but like at least a couple of weeks.
At least 3 weeks
like,
now.
Watching everybody else get a title shot, and it's like
most
no, we
of the people
want our
on
turn.
Spaz I saw saying like, oh, this was a rushed build, and they just threw them in there to get the pin, and I'm like, I could still see them getting a rematch for the tag titles and having it be believable.
Yeah. It'll be fun, yeah.
They had a very good near fall when he gave him the Death Valley driver on Frazier. That was like 2 9/10. That was about because he got up, he did the springboard, and then Fraxium both got out of the way, and then Briggs was choking Frazier, and then he hit him with the Acai moonsault. And then Axiom comes out of nowhere, and they both do the double down there, and they get the win. And I was like, Jesus, like, it could have been Inamura's day. Like, they were that close, especially with Briggs choking out Frazier. It was right there. So, choke out, too. We'll get to later on in the night. But
that's true as well. I want to get to what MK3 just said in the chat
please.
As well. But first of all, before I get to that, and MK, if I forget about it, please remind me. Very, very simple. It sounds simple, but it's not. Love the high-flying guys. The high-flying guys are really animated. They get that superhero-type energy, the cohesiveness between Frazier and Axiom we've talked about for a while now. They're probably one of the best teams of 2024, and it hasn't really stopped yet. You know what's even more fun than that sometimes? Is somebody big just coming in and punching that in the face.
Yes, and I'm going to pause yourself really quick. I still have Juan's gift here. I know he's not on Twitter. If you're on Instagram, Facebook... I'll sign up for a Threads. Whatever I got to do to get a hold of you, please let me know. I would like to send you your prize. I just don't know how to get a hold of you, and I don't think you want to put your address in the chat right now. I miss when YouTube used to have that direct messaging feature.
Inbox, yeah.
Yeah, that was great to ignore, but no, for the old channels that I used to co-host for, especially like the Thing There Is podcast and whatnot, and TBTI, the Best There Is, when I used to do it like Bailey and stuff way back, I still get notifications for those every now and again. You got Facebook? All right, so it's facebook.com/Jake DeMarco. I don't think it's easier than that to find me on Facebook. Add me one, please. I'll know it's you. We'll meet up. I'll get you your prize, sir. I'll send it out ASAP. I think there's a holiday this Monday, right? Isn't there some sort of President's Day or what is it, Danny? What holiday is Monday?
No school.
Yeah, why don't you have school?
I don't know.
But why not? Is it President's Day or Martin Luther
Family
King?
Day up here.
President's Day.
President's Day. All
There we
right.
go.
You're not fired yet, kid. Thank you. So, yes, that was Lita, in fact. So I went to the Meriden Mall myself in 2001 and met Lita and got this autograph. This comes from my personal collection. And since 2015, each year, I've done it for, 6 years now, I've given away one of my autographs each time to people, and I've bought, some merch and whatnot, but everybody's gotten one of the autographs because I have the memory, but I feel like now you have not only a really legitimate autograph, but you also have a badass connection to me as well, where you got it from. So I think that's, dual fold. Double
Just let
memory.
Jake know if you want him to sign under the autograph.
Huge day. That's right, C-Money. That is indeed.
Huge day.
Huge
the biggest,
day.
the most important.
That's
it's
right.
Fantastic.
It's huge day.
All right. I want to flip up the chat for a second because I haven't really had a
please.
chance to talk to you about this yet.
Yeah, I know.
Rumor
MK3 said it before. Yeah, hit us.
The rumor that Sexy Red was going to be offered a wrestling contract in WWE, but she declined because she couldn't make the timing work between what it would have taken to train and to maintain her music career. I got nothing on this. I was wondering if you had anything on this.
So much respect. I really do enjoy Sexy Red. Her music is not anything that I enjoy. I don't like
Big
her
personality,
music
though.
at all, but what she's done for wrestling in the terms of she is genuinely a fan. She loves Shawn Michaels. She really cares about NXT as a brand, and she wants to see young people succeed. She was young at one point in time, and she says, had I been given this type of opportunity in my field, it could have advanced me in a great way. So to shed any light with my popularity on any of these younger names, that's why she went to NXT. She did all of that for free. There was no paid promotion at all. She did that strictly on a volunteer basis. She came up to everybody in the locker room, gave everybody free signings. She was very polite and very forward, and this was a dream for her in the sense of hey, I want to see people be able to get some attention off of my name as much as I will off of you. It was dual fold, but she's been great.
Wasn't it her that came out with I think it was Trick and Javon came out for a tag match, and she came out to be the guest manager for a night.
Yep.
And the three of them had a good vibe.
And then
obviously her music.
She was doing a concert that
but
Ethan Page
whatever.
interrupted too. You remember?
Oh,
when she was, and then Page came out and interrupted in the middle of her show as she was, twerking. And like I said, the music, I'm not about it, but
not my thing. But you know what?
It doesn't matter, and it fit perfectly for what they needed. So I am super happy on it. And like Liz says, yeah, that is President's Day. Thank you. I'm excited to go ahead.
I gotta have a lot of respect for somebody who gets offered something like
Right.
that and is able to look at themselves and say, nah, I couldn't dedicate myself as much as I would need to, so I'm gonna have to pass.
I don't need to be here. You can just speak for me because you took the words exactly out of my mouth. No, that's
I don't wanna do
literally
that.
it. Like Ken Shamrock said at one point in time. He's like, God damn, I don't know if I can do this without embarrassing anybody. And he worked with Mick Foley actually behind the scenes, and that was one of the people that gave him his confidence. And Mick was like, pretend you're going to hit me for real, but just pull away at the last second. He's like, and that's wrestling. And that was enough to talk Shamrock through the nerves because he was getting thrown into not the main event, but close enough, top of the card feuds and moments and matches. And I always think back to that chair shot from The Rock. Oh God, he told him to nail it, and just on his knees, Shamrock gets waffled. But
now you only see
look
stupid
back
shit like that
and,
in AEW.
Yeah, and I'm still curious to see how it turns out tonight. I mean, obviously, as you said, you have the spoilers, but I want to actually see what happens with AEW.
There's a couple things I still want to see. we've gotten into it before. Like, I don't like AEW, but there are people in AEW. I like the idea of Omega and Ospreay as a tag team is a really awesome idea that I want to see go out. But like, they've made such a mess of this.
Yeah.
The clips are out there of Tony Khan getting booed out of the building by these
Which
people.
is
that think,
funny. Danny, I was
called?
talking about when we went to Grand Slam both times. We had a great time in Arthur Ashe. And then where was the other place that we went to for collisions as well? Was that Bristol or Bridgeport? Bridgeport. And do you remember when we went, though, and as like I said, the Acclaim got the title, Paige debuted, Saraya at that point. Like, we had a great time. Yeah. And, you know, it's like we have those memories, you know.
But apparently there are places in Australia that have no way to watch the shows. So there's lots of people coming out of the woodwork right now. It's like they were in our country and we can't even watch it.
So do you know what the total, like, not the average, like the highest peak viewership for AEW in Australia is 22,000 viewers. So for them to even get anybody showing up for the show, I don't know what the tickets were at, but it was like a percentage of what it was before.
Yeah. I hope the people that bought stadium tickets that were sold a bill of goods about this being a pay-per-view got some money back.
That's the thing. They were not only given tickets that were less than, because like now they were obstructed view, but then they found out their tickets were like a third of the price of what they could be paying now, you know. So they paid 3 times the price of what the value is now since they went to a smaller arena. One guy paid $780 for like 10th row, and now he's like second tier. And his ticket would be like $100.
In an arena for a glorified collision.
And his ticket would be $100 now. So he paid $700 for a $100 ticket, and he could have paid $300 for front row, $380, whatever it was at release.
But this was never going to be a pay-per-view in a big-ass stadium on the other side of the world.
So they implied it heavily that it was, though. The way they sold this, they never said pay-per-view, but they tweeted it as a pay-per-view. Yes,
they
exactly.
put it into the initial video packages that went in along with those social medias. The
You're
idea
right.
that this was a pay-per-view was pulled back when they realized they couldn't sell a pay-per-view worth of people.
You're spot on about that.
I'm sorry, we're going over the same shit. We did this in the preview as well, but like they got fucked, and they got fucked because AEW is losing. And how is AEW losing? Because the wrestlers and the fans would rather be at a WWE show.
No, that was the most of it, and I don't want to see them fail, but they're not giving us a reason to tune in. So I'm curious about Grand Slam. They're saying that Toni Storm had a good match, which I'm sure she did, but the turn of her didn't make sense. But you know what did make sense? We saw Mike Rome in the center of the ring, ready to announce that Trick Williams will be taking on Eddie Thorpe in a strap match. Here's my complaint right off the bat.
Okay.
What the fuck with the rules? So strap matches baffle me because sometimes, as we just saw, we just saw Punk and McIntyre do this, where you have to touch all 4 corners, and then they do this one where no, it's pinfall, submissions, or ref stoppage / TKO. I liked. There were several spots where Trick got whooped, like he was back in 1770. I mean, he sold.
Oh my.
He sold like he was...
Sidetrack.
Yeah.
Sidetrack.
Oh, my God.
Sidetrack for a second. Okay. Because, of course, I would bring this up because I'm the asshole.
You
right?
would have to, but...
I would have to. The fact that people are coming out of the woodwork to call WWE racist, again, it's the wheel of terms, right? How dare you put Trick Williams in a whipping match in the middle of February?
I heard, that's why I made that comment, because I heard these comments, and I'm like, are you that tone deaf that you really? I mean, besides, I could see why Tony Khan got booed, but you're going to go ahead and boo Trick because he's in a strap match? Like, that's why I made that joke, because so many people were making during Black History Month. How dare you, Triple H? How dare you, Road Dogg? How dare you, NXT? How dare you, Shawn Michaels? And Road Dogg's now the head writer of SmackDown. People are losing their minds on Twitter, and when I say people, it's a very small ecosystem. They might be the loudest.
They're the ones that get amplified.
Exactly, because they're the loudest, but they're the smallest as well.
Bullshit people. These rage bait bullshit people are the ones that get traction.
I mean, before,
is the problem.
I made a joke by putting Grayson Waller as my prediction to win. I knew he wasn't going to win, obviously, but I said to you, I'm like, I'm going to go fishing.
It would have been hilarious to have Grayson Waller win on the day that they
and
were
it was
going
like,
head to
here's
head with the
Grayson
Australia
Waller.
show.
Yeah, Grayson Waller is winning. Here we go. And I was pumping him up, and people on Twitter were like, "You're so fucking stupid. Like, how could you pick him? What are you talking about?" Like, and I'm like, you really just. You're speaking volumes here. How dare you pick Obafemi to lose during Black History Month? And it's like, really? That's where you... So Trick and Eddie whipped the shit out of each other. There was one point in time where Eddie first got to whipping Trick, and Trick sold like a son of a bitch. And 90% of it was legit, but 10% was him expert selling. And I was like, oh my God, did you get whipped there? That looked painful. So... Eddie is just whipping Trick around the ring, and he's hitting him with the strap, and then all of a sudden Trick gets to ringside, and he starts hitting him with strikes, and then he tackles Trick into the ring post, and finally Eddie ties Trick around the ring post. I have not seen that in a strap match, have you? Not that I can recall. That was a great, ingenious moment from Eddie here. That's what made me love this match, because he kept doing smart, reasonable, logical heel things. The low blow with the strap, like everything he did made sense, but it was ingenuitive and creative, and it just fit with his sadistic wanting to delve out pain and punishment to Trick because you cost me the chance of being the champion. I deserve that title. I should be there. So many people counted Eddie Thorpe out, but he gets the win after the low blow and the knee plus. Shock among the crowd. What did you think? I mean, we both said Trick could lose here. We both had that said.
Distinctively on the opposite sides on this one.
But I like the dissension. Please tell me why.
It's not about dissension. They tried
I'm saying between you and I. Tell me why.
I know. They tried a lot of good things here, right? I don't think this. I mean, not for the reasons that people are crying about on Twitter. I don't think this was the right step because I think they spent so much of the match trying to figure out how to do stuff. And you could see them like taking a half step and then figuring out where the strap was going to be. And that's not on them. If they've never done it before, if it's new to them, that's all. But it happened enough that the match became awkward for me. And I don't hold that against the wrestlers. But eventually, once you're... It's one of those stipulations where once you're kind of out of it, you're out. And once it got to a point of being out... I couldn't get back into it.
Yeah.
And
okay,
as I said, something we touched on.
It didn't take me out, so I was the opposite of you on this, and that's interesting. And I like when you and I don't line up. Obviously,
something you and I talked about on the pre-show as well really kicked in here as well. Is the fall off of Trick, not as a performer, but from that we were so sure he was going to get called to the main roster, and then he didn't. So it feels like a backstep, even though he's in the same place.
Yeah.
I had a really I want Eddie Thorpe to get the win, and he did get the win, and he's the one that needs the win. He's the more interesting character, but you want to still be invested in the babyface, and it's the first time in a long time that I haven't felt that either he's the good guy or he's the cool guy, so I'm with him a little bit for Trick, and I felt that up until today, and then today I was watching this match, and I'm like, I really don't feel that. Like,
so let me hit you back really quick. Eddie's not fully there yet, and I agree with you. He's not fully there yet, but to get a win over the babyface,
the result is fantastic.
I love it.
The result is fantastic.
Exactly, you're with me there, but I see your point. I see what you're saying, and I raise you this high of a profile for Eddie. I think they can really stretch it out into promos and matches, and he can say I think this really was worth the loss for Trick.
Let me be clear. As a move, they made the right move here.
Yeah,
this loss for Trick is good. It just wasn't the most. How can I say this? They did the right thing to be able to come out of it at the end of the day and say, I beat Trick Williams, former champion, former biggest guy, former guy that's beat all these guys type of thing. They've given that to Eddie now, and now he has that. And going forward, just to be able to stick that in a promo and say, I beat Trick Williams and now I'm doing this. The actual watching of it happening didn't hit for me. The result, what's going to come from it, the fallout from it, I agree with, and I'm still on board because, as you say, his is a character on the ascendancy, and a character on the ascendancy is always interesting to see. I didn't enjoy the match as much as I wanted to. Like,
okay, so
which
what?
sucks
What
for me because
made
like
it?
I wanted to.
But I'm curious, what made you enjoy it less? Was it just the?
Just the two things I mentioned.
I know,
is,
but
like,
it was just as strictly as you just that feeling that took you.
That feeling for Trick, and plus,
okay, I just want to make sure I grasp entirely why you feel that way.
They lost themselves in the match a little bit and got themselves caught up with, okay, what am I doing? What is my opponent doing? And where's the strap lying? And it came off awkward.
Okay, so I do know what you're talking about.
Awkward to me is worse than bad sometimes.
Yeah, because bad like you can justify. Awkward is just meaning you're not clicking. Yeah.
Yeah, and because with seeing something awkward, there's a little like hint of pity that you have for the stars because you can tell they're trying to put it together. And it's just not
I can nail the point too. So right after Eddie got Trick into the, he went ahead and he knocked him into the ringside when they were ringside, knocked him into the post, and then he used a strap to drag Trick off the top rope, and he takes him and he takes both his legs and he just keeps kicking him, and then that's when he starts like mean mugging and like playing to the crowd. And that's when it kind of lost us. Like right in that moment, the mean mugging and everybody booing him, and it was like, well, Trick rolled him up right after. So why are you worried about taunting? And that took a lot of people I saw on Twitter out of it. So I get the point. I think that was the point where you probably lost a little bit.
Yeah. And
thankfully, it was a 10-minute, like 50-second match.
Yeah.
So
it didn't last very long. Well, that's the other thing too. Is
nothing tonight was long. Really,
if something's awkward and not hitting, it's like anytime you're in an awkward situation, right? That awkward situation, if you have an awkward encounter with somebody, that awkward encounter could take 5 seconds, but it feels like a million years because you're standing there like, what do I say? What do I do? When I'm watching it, it's the opposite of, you know what I say, like, even if I don't really give a shit about a match, if I can tell the wrestlers are having fun, it's going to bring me in a little bit.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
This is the opposite of that. Like, where I can see that they're both, and they were both trying. This is why I have to make it clear. This is not a criticism of either guy. It just didn't come together for them tonight. So and I think largely it was because of the match type.
Here's the only thing that takes away from me is I liked Eddie winning. I liked how he won. I liked the story because they really haven't had much to like develop or enhance Eddie at all in a long time.
Still love Eddie's story.
Yes, so I like the story, and I like the fact that they're enhancing on what he's brought to the table.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Trick has taken quite a few L's now.
Yeah.
Where does he stand for Stand and Deliver? How do we get him there? What do we do? Like, who does he face? Because Eddie, I can see going against Obafemi again at Stand and Deliver. I really could if they wanted to. I mean, there's other people, Ricky Starks.
I think it's going to be Ricky. I think
so too.
They're going to hotshot the Ricky title shot.
But what if he challenges for the North American title too? I mean, there's options for Thorpe here, as where Trick, I don't know, like he doesn't have any other feud going on, he doesn't have any other story. I'm baffled to see where Trick goes from here, and I think that might be the bitter pill to swallow.
I think what you might see with Trick, and he could use it because he could use some. He's been the good guy. He's been the guy that everybody likes, and I'm imagining as a performer, it's good. It's easy to have a good day when everybody likes you. You know what I mean? That sounds like
absolutely.
The most ridiculous thing ever.
I love it. We got Booker T, but where does he go if he's not on the main roster? Like
him, but
who
him not.
Who do we get?
Who
does he face?
I'm not sure.
That's
I'm not sure.
See,
I'm trying to find my way. I'm trying to find my way
every
around
time
it, right?
you are never not sure. That's exactly no. Honestly, every time I go ahead and face you with a question, you are my NXT god. You nail it, and I go ahead and I say who could, and you immediately like, oh, if I say Lexus King, who should he face? You're like, oh, Sean Spears. Right away, you're like, I got it. Yeah. Obafemi, he should face.
But here's what I'm saying though, because he's the top guy, not in the top spot. Ever since he lost his championship, he's been like shoving people and lashing out at some people and like shoulder
been
barging people
losing
backstage
a lot.
and losing. But I mean, like personality wise, he's been snapping off. He's not been the guy.
But the
hyping
losing
up
affects
crowd.
his personality as well.
Of course
is
it
what I'm
does.
trying
And-
to convey.
and
yeah.
and it should. That's good storytelling. If he was losing and still being the happy clappy guy, he'd be John Cena.
Embrace the hate. Yes.
So do we have him? Not that I want him to turn heel necessarily, but do you have him in a place where somebody tries to offer him some advice or some support and he's not ready to have it and he lashes out at them, and that ends up in some kind of mini feud, not because Trick has turned heel, but because he's not in the space to receive advice. Like, not, it wouldn't be Punk at Stand and Deliver.
It
We've
wouldn't
seen
be,
Punk,
but
but
I get your point, though. Like, someone
way
to that caliber.
the way that Punk has come down to the NXT roster before and tried to say, you know, look, man, you're going down a path here. Like, I've got some advice for you if you're willing to take it. I don't know who that person would necessarily be.
Yeah,
Sami
no, I get
Zayn.
it.
If Sami Zayn wasn't set up for something with KO at WrestleMania, imagine somebody like a Sami Zayn coming down and saying, look, man, you're the guy. Everybody loves you. I'm lucky enough. I have the crowd behind me, and I've turned on them before, and I've turned on my friends before. Look at Raw. Look at SmackDown. Look how it's worked out for me right now.
No, exactly.
Don't go down the same. And
But the fact that you can pull from your memory, like if I was to go ahead and be like, random question, Danny, what's your favorite WrestleMania memory?
I don't know. Probably.
Right? You just said it. You Undertaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Undertaker going
so
ahead
take
his
take
streak.
somebody like a Sami Zayn who's super over and would be coming down to, even like, if he was able to, I would even say somebody like a Shawn Michaels, but like I don't think that's possible.
No,
but have
I
somebody
get
like
your
a Sami
point.
Zayn come down and say, look, man, these people love you. I've taken advantage of that before. I've lashed out at the wrong people before. Like, pull yourself back up. You know, the crowd's behind you. We believe in you. I believe in you. I've been watching you. And it's all the right advice and all the right support at the wrong time. And he turns around and lashes out at Sami Zayn. Now, that doesn't necessarily make him a heel. It just makes him a frustrated guy in a frustrated spot. And it's like, hey, man, you want to do it that way? Let's do it like this. And then you get
you're right.
It's not a title match, but it would definitely be, if you told me Stand and Deliver, I don't know why I pulled Sami Zayn out of my ass, but if you told me at Stand and Deliver as a marquee like exhibition match, you were getting Trick Williams versus Sami Zayn, that would turn heads. That would get one or two more people to watch the show.
Or a Seth Rollins or anybody
yeah.
returning to NXT. Yeah, that would be a good moment for them. See, because I'm not really down with CM Punk versus 2/3 of the Shield this year. It seems like that's what we're getting. It seems like we're getting Roman, Seth, and Punk in a triple threat, and I'm just
here's the thing.
ugh.
Here's the thing is, as
That's
well,
not doing
what
it
I've
for
heard
me,
about
bud.
that, and this is a whole long conversation we could turn into a whole podcast, so I'm going to try and make it concise. The whole idea that Drew's pissed off that his opponent for WrestleMania is apparently Damian Priest, and the internet got a hold of it, and everybody's mad about it, and I'm like, why? Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest would be a fucking kick-ass match.
It's going to be a great match, but the story's not there, I think.
Apparently, the rethinking of Trick versus Ricky, Juan Salazar says, that's not a horrible show.
That's not a bad match.
That's not
at
a horrible
all. Number
show.
one contender for the title, and
That's not a horrible show.
You know what you do if Trick puts his NXT career on the line? If I don't beat you, then I have to go to the main roster. If you win, you get the number one contender, like vice versa.
Ooh.
You know, and both. I want the title shot. I'll put up my career.
He doesn't necessarily have to say in the storyline that he's putting his NXT
Danny,
spot
I
on the
love you.
line, but just a number one contenders match, and Trick loses, puts over Ricky on his way out, and that's just his last match.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the triple threat thing at WrestleMania, from what's been said, is there's been so much outlash about.
I knew you were going to say WrestleMania. I had to point to it.
No, but there's been so much backlash of the apparent Damian Priest Drew McIntyre match that match has now been rethought, but apparently it was connected to so many other things that if they don't do that match, so many other matches get changed. And
Which
now,
is true.
Now the new rumor is, I don't know what they're doing with Drew, but apparently the new rumor is Seth Roman one-on-one, which I wouldn't mind. I
wouldn't
lie.
mind that
as
either.
a history lesson type match. And then they're talking about Cody, Cena, Punk
As a triple threat.
which it's a compromise on a lot of things, but we could get a lot worse.
We could get a lot worse, and you know what? I don't think Cena would win. I like the idea of Cena and Punk being the final two in the chamber, and then somebody costs them. Like Seth, who did Seth qualify? I think he did, right?
No, Seth has
he didn't.
a match with Balor on Monday for the last spot.
So then if he doesn't qualify, then we have Seth go ahead and cost them both. Like he comes up and super kicks them both. So now they both get the shot.
I'm not gonna lie, man. No shade on Seth whatsoever, but I really hope Balor wins on Monday because they gotta do something.
Well, think about it. Balor wins and Seth's pissed. So now Seth, the final two is like I said, Cena and CM Punk. They're beating the shit out of each other. And a la Shawn Michaels when he super kicked the Undertaker, Punk, doesn't see him, and Seth comes out from the grate and super kicks both of them while you're there in person. I mean, curb stomps or
Liz,
whatever.
I know Finn isn't beating Seth, but I can dream.
Well, you know what? They could do it for story if Seth
Here's my
loses.
thing, though, right?
I mean, they could beat Seth.
If I want to go long term, they're not above something happening one WrestleMania and leading into the following WrestleMania. If you want to do Cena versus Cody versus Punk, and Punk wins by pinning Cena. Punk leaves as champion, never beat Cody, sets the stage because, WrestleMania is kind of the season finale of WWE. Sets the stage for an entire year worth of story you could tell between Punk and Cody that could culminate in a one-on-one match when Cena's gone at the WrestleMania following. Just one way to play it, because I know that a triple threat match isn't anybody's favorite thing. Well, it is a compromise.
See, the thing is, I wanted Cena to lose continually because they brought up the 2,000 whatever day streak since he's last won a match. So I wanted them to go ahead and continue that losing streak all the way till past Survivor Series, like whatever December is. This is my last chance. I'm going to retire, and then he gets a title and retires as champion, and then
I still like the idea of WrestleMania John Cena versus Joe Hendry for the TNA Championship.
That would be great, and that would be a 17th win for him. He would have a title that's recognized. I mean, I think people would bitch, but that would be a great match. Joe Hendry did say he would face Cena at some point, so I'm excited to see what happens.
He's been calling him out, man.
Since Cena called him at 15 years old at a meet and greet his friend Kyle went to.
When John Cena announced his retirement tour,
yeah,
Joe Hendry came online and said something to the effect of, "Oh well, I guess somebody better say his name then." And then when the TNA deal was announced, he sort of doubled down on it. And then
don't mind me shifting every 2 seconds. It's snowing here, and I'm in an excruciating amount of pain, but that's all right. Yeah, Hendry was like, "Fuck this! I'm gonna get Cena this year. It's gonna happen." I believe
pure force of will.
He's gonna get it done. I mean, think of everything that Hendry's accomplished.
John Cena, because they're teaming up with TNA now, and I guess they would recognize TNA championships. What if John Cena's 17th title reign
is a TNA title? I would love it. I wouldn't hate it either.
I wouldn't hate that. I don't think
if they recognize it, then go for it.
Yep.
But I think they want it to be the WWE
Well, what
title.
is it? Because Ric Flair is 16, but it's really like 21 if you include everything.
Yeah, between what he won in Puerto Rico and a few other title exchanges, yeah.
I'm sure
we saw him die twice in his last match, literally, so...
He wants to have another one.
Yeah, let's not get into that. But so let's get back to Vendors Day. I'm sorry, we've been delaying for a while. Yeah. This match coming up was brutal, and I loved it. All ego Ethan Page taking on Javon Evans. Is there anybody more dastardly evil than Ethan Page right now in NXT? I mean, he really epitomizes and emboldens the heel role. He is so good.
What I find more impressive with this is Javon Evans, who is that... He's like the male equivalent of Hugger Bailey.
So
with the way people love him, I am more surprised that he was convincing in his attempt to ramp up to Ethan Page's level of asshole and evil and whatever. Ethan Page, they did in this match. They created that uncertainty, that
I mean, they started off so hot that Evans overshot the fucking announce table, diving at Page, and Page saved his ass big time. holy shit. But from there, they were
with
just
the
battling
mouse
on the
guard,
outside. Yeah,
shout out to Big Nick over on the other on the Wrestling for Life channel there,
Absolutely.
saying that he looked like he was walking around with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in
he
his
did.
mouth.
He had that effect,
But,
and he had me with the, without the denture look.
This
And
match achieved everything.
Paige was dominant for a long time, but then Evans just really, once he got that Superman punch in, everything changed until the end when Evans lost his mouth guard. And then
Yeah.
he just got destroyed. So he goes for the springboard, and then Paige punches him with the right hook, and he's like, oh my God, he knocked the mouth guard out. And that's when Evans hits him with the twist of fate. Now, I know you always find the positive in the negative, Spaz. You have been a great help to my mental health and in my therapy journey. I swear to God, behind the scenes, Spaz has been an immense help in me staying sane and not offing myself at this point.
Hey,
No matter
gotcha.
what happens, you, sir, always find the good and the bad, and it amazes me, it humbles me, and it makes me thank you for being such a good friend. I mean that wholeheartedly. I love you like a brother. You have been helping me for years, and I cannot overstate how much I care about you. So,
Appreciate
before I
you.
get too emotional, my point is,
You want
saw,
me to fix something, don't you?
Hey, you saw as well as I did what happened here, and it was that mental level of a breakdown for Paige. He became more sadistic and evil as the match continued, and I liked seeing him be that full dastardly evil bastard. This was so well paced and handled. The storytelling was immaculate. I bought into Javon winning multiple times, and then at the end with him spitting up the blood, like they sold it extremely well. This was great. I mean, you saw Paige laughing his ass off as
This match
Javon
did.
was just
I'm
spitting
gonna
up
say
blood.
it. This is gonna illustrate what I was trying to say about the last match. Wow, your camera just went really
Yeah,
funky
it
for a
wanted,
second.
it wanted to not
This is going to
focus.
illustrate what I was trying to say. This match, being a regular match, did what the match before it should have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all the let me convince you that I'm a bad guy. Let me convince you that you're in danger when you're in the ring with me. Let me convince you that you're in a dangerous situation.
Yeah. As
And
where
like I
the
said,
Eddie Thorpe match, I can give like a 7.5. This was like an 8.5. Ethan Page is what you
a
want to
dastardly
be.
bastard. And what did I say? No matter how the matches go, Eddie Thorpe is the one whose character is building. He needs the win.
Yes.
Javon Evans, his character is also building. His character needed this loss.
Yes. He needs to come back from
to
this.
Be
Especially with Cedric
drawn and
gone
quartered.
now.
Yeah,
I mean,
drawn and quartered on the table for everybody to see.
he's got no one in his corner.
Yeah.
He's done for. I mean, that's it. So now he's got to go ahead and deal with no Cedric Alexander. Like, hey, that's a
Yeah,
that's a hard
I
pill to
don't think they're
swallow.
going to be mentioning that too much. But
I don't think so, but I'm saying, like, now he has no backup. So it's like, hey, you've been
But you
destroyed.
see, he did the same thing. He tried to do an eye for an eye.
Yes.
It's Liz. It's okay.
But
that
he
you're not a
wasn't
Page
healthy
fan. You're
enough
not
yet.
supposed
He
to be.
wasn't healed enough yet. So
Yeah.
now we're going to see him at Stand and Deliver.
Oh, of course we are.
Oi,
this, is
oi, oi.
this is getting one more round at Stand and Deliver for
What
sure.
what
But you see-
stipulation do you see them going for?
if you want to go poetic, because he's probably going to have his mouth wired shut again or something similar, and he was cutting all those mumbly promos. So being able to talk,
First
being
Blood?
able to, no, being
Ooh.
able to being able to talk, being able to communicate has been something that he's dealt with, and something that Ethan has made fun of. It's going to be an I Quit match.
I think you might be onto something. You just said it, and that gave me some rock goosebumps, Beatty. Oh, that was good. Oh, I'm telling you, yeah.
Mana,
Feel it.
mana.
That's the energy
Anyways,
drink.
But I just say, like, where I think they need to prove one thing, they prove two. They need to make Ethan feel like a dangerous guy. I love the fact that they took a good guy that people love so much and took him to that dangerous place as well. Because if you're looking at the match between the two of them, Javon Evans is the one you're friends with, right?
Yeah.
And Javon Evans, if he was your friend, would be the guy that you would say, oh, come on, man, you don't want to go down that road. You don't want to be like him. And when you see that friend break down because of the other asshole, it breaks your heart as the person that's supporting them. And I think he did that way. Like, when he brought his foot down to do his own, like, stomp to the jaw, I was like, that's okay.
That's
We've
brutal.
achieved.
Yeah.
We've achieved hashtag Javon is not okay.
Nike could have paid a fine. But they didn't.
I think this
Look
is
at that. We're
5,000
getting ads from AEW, but I was trying to tune in on the AEW side to see how Grand Slam is accruing so far, and I guess they're
it even
starting
on yet?
off. I think it's supposed to start in another 20 minutes or 10 minutes, 19
right.
minutes. I think 10:30 is what I heard, but
May-
we'll see.
If we're done by then,
I heard
might
10:30
actually
Eastern.
Tune in and see how bad it is.
I'm trying to keep in touch. I know some of the fans in the chat wanted to know what happened, so I'm trying to keep us going, but as you were saying, yeah.
Juan
I
Salazar
mean,
is saying Ethan versus Ricky. Hey, everybody versus Ricky.
yeah, Ricky Starks. We're gonna get to it, obviously, but goddamn, Ricky Starks is such an entertaining bastard. What he said tonight was great on the mic. I really enjoyed the promo that he cut. It was simple. It was very straightforward. And it got me excited. They said that we're going to see him sign his contract this Tuesday on NXT.
As soon as he
on
came
the
on
CW.
screen, and says, "Hey guys, I'm really enjoying watching Vengeance on Peacock tonight." As soon as he said that, I'm like, he's in the building. He has to be in the building.
Oh,
I thought
absolutely.
I thought it was a bait and switch, but it wasn't. So
No,
good for them.
we knew he was there, just like Jordan Grace, and just like Santino Marella was backstage too, and that was a very
let's talk
fun
about
moment.
that.
I mean, we got to hear
No,
Santino.
I wanted to
with,
follow up about your
Ariana
conversation
Grace.
with
I've got
Ava.
it playing
Can you
right
give us
now.
any
With,
details?
he's
Absolutely. We had a great
like,
conversation.
I can give you a great
Talked
conversation.
about things that were mutual.
I'm
It was really
excited
good.
to see
It's
what
like,
happens
it's nice
there.
to meet you, but I'm not really meeting you. I knew you when you were this big. But
So
okay.
right
So
now
we-
we're
okay,
seeing
we gotta
the
touch
cycle
on
of
this.
life continues. Joshua Black, Cutler James, Saquon Sugars, and Dion Lennox all tweeted out the masks, the 4 skull masks.
Okay.
So it's the 4 of them making whatever this new group is.
Okay.
So
I'll
they're
I'll
all
have to look at
from
that after I haven't
the
seen it.
Performance Center and WWID and all these type of things. So it's interesting, but.
Okay.
Like you said, what Ricky Starks cut was a great promo. He says he's going to sign his contract this upcoming Tuesday on NXT on the CW. So that gives us another reason to watch. But he is on another level right now. And do you think he keeps his name? Yes, no. What do you expect?
I think so. I think they're doing a little bit of trolling with this. If I want to give them the credit, because you remember when they said, "Oh, we're going to bring in the greatest luchador ever," and then when he finally came out, Michael Cole was like, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
Yeah,
this was
the
like
worst kept secret
ever. I think they're dragging out the name thing because they know all the haters out there. Oh my God, WWE's going to give him such a stupid name. I would love to hear a rumor come out or a story come out one day that every 6 months WWE just goes and purchases like 50 shitty names just to make all the WWE haters go all aflutter.
Yeah, make everybody go nuts. I mean,
don't
right
think-
here, I'm gonna play a second of the audio, but you hear Ricky Starks. He's like, "You're wondering what's next."
Well, I got the answer.
I got the answer. He says.
This Tuesday
live on NXT, the middle of that ring, I'm going to sign my NXT official NXT contract. And they never say, you won't want to miss this, a contract signing for the ages going down this Tuesday on NXT, but they don't say who. I really hope he keeps his name. I like the Ricky Starks name. LFG, let's go. I can't overstate it, though. He cut a great promo. He made it fit. And then, of course, I was really excited. We had Sarah backstage interviewing Stephanie, and they led the little chat about the North American Championship. She's like, "I'm making history," and the night is not over because she's like, "I'm going to watch the main event," which will lead to things later. Now,
I do
Ethan
want to go
Page
back.
won, and here's the thing. I know you were really, really set on Josh Alexander coming to NXT. And I started to say before, you were one that always can find a positive out of a negative, and you still turned Alexander signing to AEW as a positive, but I don't know how. Because they even teased the North. I thought Paige said, "I lost my way. I need to find, the North Star," all these things. Like, come on. What happened? What did Tony offer that AEW, could put over NXT?
You're going to be the next groundbreaking game changer.
Yeah.
And then you're going to sit in catering for 6 months.
It's unfortunate. I don't
I
get it.
am, like I said it to you privately, I'll say it here too. Like, I'm going to bring up the actual conversation you and I were having because I'm
No,
that
please
lazy.
do. You can quote yourself directly.
It
it is disappointing, though, because...
What did I
Yeah.
say to you in the chat?
Please, bring it up.
What do you think about Alexander? Well, it's unfortunate, but we've got Grace, Penta. We just had the return of AJ Styles. We just had the return of Charlotte. Becky Lynch is going to come back shortly. We've got Ricky Starks. We've probably got Black Rusev and Phoenix. And if you want to hear what we think about Black Rusev, Phoenix, and the debuting Ricky Starks, there is a whole bunch of that over on my channel right now because I managed to clip that conversation out of the Vengeance Day preview and re-upload it as its own pod. So this is a cheap plug for that. And I am now going to cheap plug TNA because it's great.
It's great.
When we talked about the Santino thing, Santino showing up on the NXT pay-per-view popped me. Him being there with
that
his
was
daughter,
a lot of fun. That was funny. It was a good, a good moment.
But so they're going to do something. He's going to talk to Ava. Ava's probably going to make an announcement on Tuesday, whatever. But there's another...
Well, they start off. Sarah Schreiber's there. She's talking to Ava. Ava's saying, like, Obafemi got jumped by these mystery men. And she's like, they want to make an impact. Yeah, she's like, I'll deal with them later. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, you're going to be in Ohio in a few weeks. And you got Lexus King's hometown. What are you going to do? And then all of a sudden, that's when Ariana Grace comes out. And she's like...
I love Ariana Grace. She's
hey,
awesome.
Look, my dad's here. She didn't say it, but, we know. Santino Marella comes out, and I don't think they mentioned that's her dad, did they? I don't think so.
No, because Ava just turned to the interviewer afterwards and said, "Are you two?" Oh, never mind.
Yeah, and she let it go. That was great.
They're playing with it. It's like they do with the Regal and Dempsey stuff.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'll talk to you later between NXT and TNA stuff, but I'm busy right now." So it was funny. It made me laugh. I like them. She's like, I met you when you were a little kid with your dad.
Great ideas. We got some, but there's another side to this that they didn't talk about tonight. And I have to ask you, did you see TNA last Thursday?
Yes, I did. So
where Santino Marella had a run-in with one of his knockouts.
Yes.
That he asked Ariana Grace for help with. Because she's refusing to wrestle, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, currently.
This coming week, TNA Impact is live at Full Sail.
Which is amazing.
Tessa Blanchard is wrestling, and Ariana Grace has to help Santino pick her opponent. So she's going to face somebody from NXT, which means sooner or later we're getting Tessa Blanchard in NXT.
Yeah, it's coming.
And so am I. Giggity.
So they're also doing a live special event during WrestleMania week. They're doing Unbreakable too. So TNA Wrestling is going to be live April 17th. Yeah, at the Cox Pavilion in Vegas. And they're going to be doing TNA Unbreakable. We got a little promo here. 20 years ago. The biggest event in the history of total nonstop action. So it's crazy, and they're talking about Las Vegas, April 17th.
Wait. Hold on. So they're going to have Unbreakable on the Thursday.
Yes.
We're going to have SmackDown in the Hall of Fame on Friday.
Stand and Deliver Saturday.
Stand and Deliver, oi, 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 and Night 1 of WrestleMania on Sunday.
Saturday.
Saturday. WrestleMania Night 2 on Sunday.
Yes.
The Raw after WrestleMania. The wrestling has a whole week. We can all just sleep on Wednesdays.
That's what I said.
No, we can't sleep on Wednesdays because Evolve is on Wednesdays.
Exactly, and that's when Evolve starts that week, right? Or they start in March. I believe.
They start March.
We're going to be live for the first episode as well, folks. I think that has to happen because that's going to be that's going to be a moment all into itself. So we'll be live for the first Evolve. I think it's coming up March 5th, something like that. I know it's coming up soon, so we'll let everybody know. Yeah, March 5th is the first episode. So we will be live then. Spaz and I will be there.
I got to figure out how to make Tubi work because I'm an idiot.
Hey, you know what? Tubi's free, so no matter what, you shouldn't have a problem.
It's free $99.
It's free $99 indeed. You know it wasn't free.
And what Liz just mentioned in the chat too, WrestleMania being on Easter weekend. Not exactly a fan of that.
No, that is interesting, but with the booking and everything being delayed, I think they kind of set themselves.
Just to let all the listeners know, it might make my schedule a little more janky. So where we fit in the live streams is something we're going to have to talk about. But we will let you guys know at the time because family stuff in the middle and blah,
exactly.
Blah, blah.
We'll make it work. But
we will make it work. We will let you guys know what's going on.
We got Obafemi taking on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. So Theory comes out first. He gets cut off by Waller.
We have to backtrack.
Oh, we do.
The one thing I forgot to mention, the first time we saw Shield. The first time we saw Shield 2.0.
Yes, during the tag match.
That finisher that they used on Fraxium, where they basically pick
the
up the two guys
and
throw them into each other.
Yes. It's like a thrown power bomb where they kind of like collide. It's nuts.
it's sort of like the Super Collider.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate,
it's
seeing as
crazy.
AOP just left.
AOP they weren't going to do anything with, and now it frees up
know.
Karrion Kross, as
Hey,
we said.
Gorilla Strong in the chat.
Oh, shit, Gorilla Strong, the one, the only, the original OG. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, I had to get a little
People
hype
listening to
before
the
this.
audio of this later on are going to think all they do is talk to the people in the chat. Well, come be live
That's
on
why
Jake's
you
channel,
should
and
be
we will
here
talk to you in the
live to
chat.
hang out. You know, Gorilla Strong, the one, the only, sending clouds our way. I was
And
high
trees.
before this. Yeah, I had to before this started. So, you know, but you know what? It wasn't a show where you needed weed. I just wanted to be high.
Rascals
Because
are in the
I wanted to
back
be not be
somewhere.
nauseous. But I also wanted to enjoy this night because it was so damn fun. Obafemi destroyed these two. I like that Grayson cut out Austin Theory, like he cut off his entrance and screwed him over a little bit of tension shown early on. The way these two kind of faked out in the beginning, like, no, we really are on the same page, I loved because it makes sense for the heels, and then the way it evolved.
I think about 3 times throughout the match, they turned on each other, realized they needed each other's help, turned on each other again, realized they needed each other's help.
Obafemi tossed Grayson Waller into the steel steps, and I'm like, his lungs just exploded. Like, how does he? So that was a crazy spot. Like you said, they came to multiple moments where it was like, okay, so Obafemi knocks Waller off the apron, and then he hits Theory with a spine buster, and then he goes for the pin, and then Theory ends up not getting the win. Why? Because Grayson Waller pulls the ref out of the ring. Like, it was such a great moment because you had that near fall. Oh my God, Theory had it won. Oh, but fuck you, I want the belt. I loved it. Theory goes and they grab a chair after, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, before that there was the spine buster through the announce table. I forgot about that.
Yep.
That was crazy.
Return of an old table.
Yeah.
It's not the new reinforced table that fucked up JD McDonough's whole body.
Right. Speaking of big table, we got Big Glenn in the chat. What's going on, buddy? But yeah, no, this was crazy. So from there, they go ahead and you see Waller hit. He blocks the Yakuza kick with the chair, but then he gets hit with the spine buster through the announce table. Like, what? I mean, I'm sorry, but that should have ended the match right there. Somehow they were able to continue. It was an incredible spot. That table looked like it absolutely exploded. I loved this spot. I'm doing a terrible job describing it, but like I'm saying, like Waller blocking the kick with the chair to then get spine bustered through the table, the force that Femi used to slam him through, how his lungs didn't explode is fucking beyond me.
My God. One thing I will say throughout the night, and it affected different people in different ways, and I think it caused a couple awkward spots for a couple different people. I feel like they were really claustrophobic around the ring for the setup of this building. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just the way it was shot, but it felt like there was not very much room to breathe between guardrail, announce table, ring apron, etc. So
absolutely.
I think everybody was dealing with just a little bit less space than they're used to, which I'm sure 10-year veterans, 20-year veterans are like, okay, I can deal with an inch as much as I can deal with a mile, giggity.
Yeah.
But for
what did we say before about making small things seem large?
Yeah.
But
for people that are either new in general or new to big stage, make sure you know where the cameras are, find the hard cam, the announce tables over there, that type of stuff. They may be awesome wrestlers, but there's the idiosyncrasies of the table is this far away tonight, but when we go on the road, it's going to be this far away, etc.
Exactly. They know how to land, when to land.
I don't care if
you got to be careful. I think that's why these things change, and they tell you last minute, like, "Hey, we had to move this 2 feet, so jump further."
Yeah, and I'd rather somebody look a little bit dumb and find out they're okay than pull off something perfectly and somebody gets hurt, a la JD McDonough.
Corey Graves, like I said, calling him Judas when Waller brings the referee out, like that was a great call. Corey Graves getting shit on since he pulled the whole online stun work, whatever you want to call it. He was unhappy with his placement.
Hold on.
Get to this, please.
We got to say something from Friday. And
okay.
I don't think you and I have talked about this yet.
No, we haven't.
The fact that he's been pulled from main roster commentary and then doesn't even get asked back when Pat McAfee's not there, and doesn't even get asked to come back when Tessitore was gone on Friday. They had what's his name, Vic Joseph there instead.
They had Joseph
all those. I think this is like
it feels like a punishment, right?
He's being bopped on the nose with the rolled up newspaper. Like you were a bad boy, now you got to go sit in the corner.
Yeah, you opened your mouth, so now we're gonna just. And he's like, "This is where I want to be." And I know he loves NXT. That's not the issue here. But you took away his chance to be the voice of SmackDown when he's been proving himself and he put himself out there and he has done nothing but just ingratiate himself with the fans with the role that he's been given. And he's really tried. He's put the effort in. And they were just like, oh, by the way, we're going to bounce you back to NXT. Yeah, he is underestimated. I think he's really
underestimated for his contribution. And the fact that, like, it's the same and it's completely different. When they moved him to SmackDown for a little bit of time with Barrett, and he had to take on the actual play-by-play role as opposed to the color role, like, that's not a turn everybody can do. And I think he did fantastically well for somebody that's only been doing it as long as he's been doing it. And so now he's getting, like I say, he's getting bopped on the nose a little bit. And I think all these mini opportunities that a newer person in like if NXT was training new commentators like they train new wrestlers, new referees, new other people, etc.
As they have, yeah.
What you would probably have is, oh, so and so can't make it this week. We're gonna try, Johnny Simpson, who's our latest,
whoever you can get
our latest NXT commentator, and see how he does on the big stage. But
absolutely,
like, they don't really have that because right now it's Vic Joseph and Booker T and Corey Graves, and none of them are really novices, right? But all those spots that you might give to the guy that you just put back down there are being given to other people, and I think that's being done intentionally, and I think that's.
I know you're right. It is being done intentionally.
I keep using the same metaphor of, like, he's the puppy that shit on the rug, and now he's getting the
now his newspaper rolled up and yelled at. But
that being said,
that's when every other dog shit on the rug too. But he's the only one to get yelled at. It feels like,
but the other side of that as well. The other side of that as well is I don't exactly mind Vic Joseph either.
He's been very good from everything he's done so far. Absolutely,
he's got to sit next to Booker T every Tuesday.
I love it. Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where Vic Joseph's been living in NXT.
Even still, so Corey Graves did a great call tonight with that Judas call.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm telling you, because now you have both of them arguing outside of the ring, and then guess what? Obafemi, he's like, I'm not going to deal with this shit. So Waller goes for the rolling stunner on Oba, but oh shit, he hits Theory out of nowhere. Theory goes flying, and then Oba hits the power bomb on Grayson Waller. 1, 2, 3. Obafemi retains. Now you have Theory getting stunnered by Waller. I think Theory is going face. It kind of seems that way.
Yeah.
They're going to be splitting up, but it'll happen on Raw. They were saving it for the Raw show. But this was a great way to put over Obafemi. He overcame the odds. I mean, these two really could have fucked him over, and they started to in the beginning, but obviously their egos got in the way. After the match, like you said, all the lights go out, and when they turn back on, we got all of these masked individuals. We went over before who they were. So I know one was Dion Lennox right away, but everybody else, they just attack Obafemi. They do like that throw him into the power slam move, which was, power bomb move, which was great. It was kind of like the Shield power bomb, but not quite, because they threw him at the end into the next person. Close enough.
Two guys threw him into two other guys.
Exactly, and then they dropped him down. So I liked it. I liked them being this fierce, competitive, crazy sons of bitches. It worked. Then
I like that this was a great night for big guys.
Yeah. Oh, like tons of meat.
Obafemi had a great night. These new guys don't exactly look like they're small. Briggs and Inamura didn't become champions, but they had a great night against Fraxium, who it's pretty easy to look big next to Fraxium. We got a lot of, there's a lot of talk, or some people talk about, like, oh, the modern day is be smaller, be more agile, be more athletic, be the Young Bucks if you want to be negative about it, be Fraxium if you want to be positive about it. But to remind people, and it's been happening on the main roster more, with your Bronson Reeds and your Otises and your Jacob Fatu's and your Braun Strowmans, and they're reminding you that the big guys still have a place. And the fact that that's now running in NXT, one group that gets a substantial amount of hate that I don't understand is Gallus.
Gallus has always gotten a lot of heat, and they
I don't get it, man.
See, I kind of get it because of the way their characters have been. They've garnered a lot of heat, but again, like the extreme hate, like not the one that surpasses normal heat, where it's like, no, I hate you on a personal level. It feels like a lot of people go after them
it's
at
just
times.
it's that transitional period of I don't like you, therefore you're not good.
Yeah, and
I always go to the example of I can't stand Bianca Belair as a character, but nobody's going to stand here and say she's not an athlete and she can't wrestle.
Exactly, and think about how the Shield started. The same way, 3 guys from FCW/NXT who came up, got called up. They really weren't like known by the main roster. Same thing here. We got Cutler James, Dion Lennox, Shaquan Sugars, and Osiris Griffin. So Shaquan, however we say it, Shaquan.
I don't know.
Yeah, either way. But they kind of did a little bit from Retribution. I get that, but they had the lights, the masks. I like it. Let's see what we get from them. I don't want to hear which one's Slapjack and T-Bar, but okay, if you want to be reckoning, okay.
The only thing they were struggling with was keeping those masks on, if you watch it.
Yeah, they kept pulling back up and down and up.
There's a bunch of WWE era Eddie versus Ray matches where Ray started wearing that mask that was like open in the back as opposed to being like the full mask.
And he had to adjust it every 3 seconds.
Constantly adjusting it.
Especially during their Mania match. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, you were thinking about the same thing.
Yes.
But
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
But it's one of those things, once again, where, like I said about the awkwardness in the strap match earlier.
Big Glenn said it, Shield 2.0, and it has a reason to be felt that way. I mean, they certainly invoke Shield, Retribution, all those types of things. As long as, like I said, they're not going by Mason T-Bar, we'll be okay.
It's a sliding scale where Shield is up here and Retribution is down here, and we got to know where they fit.
These guys were impactful, and I'm all with 4 PC guys wanting to make a name for themselves, being a cohesive unit, knowing that strength in numbers prevails. Hey, we're going to do what the Shield did. We saw them survive, so we're going to work as like a actual unit, and we're going to be cohesive and strong and united as one, and we're going to take out anybody in our way until we all get titles. It could be interesting.
As long as they don't come along and throw a brick through a window that's already broken, we're going to be okay.
If they're not chainsawing ropes and taking out generators, I'll be fine. Speaking of blowing me away, Cora Jade comes out next, breast implants and all. Roxanne up after, then Bayley. Bayley has been the MVP. I know Punk shouted her out. You sent that to me.
Yep.
But Bayley has been. She was on the NBA Celebrity Game on
say
Friday. That Celebrity Game, really quick, pushed out AEW's Grand Slam show. So that's hilarious that Bayley's part of that.
Something I want to say about Bayley before, because we were talking about...
No, please, go right ahead. Yeah,
we were talking about Graves a second ago, because Graves is a character, and Graves... The way he commentates has a lot of built-in sarcasm. The most genuine I have seen Corey Graves in a long time, and I don't know whether you caught this or not, during the kickoff show, which is only on YouTube for me now because they don't throw the pre-show on Netflix.
I did get it on Peacock, but
no, he did a
you get everything on Netflix, you fuck, so you win.
Well, they don't, but they don't do the pre-shows on Netflix, so
I'd rather watch the pre-show on YouTube than have to deal with everything not on Netflix. So you still win.
Fair, but no, he did a sit-down interview with Bayley, and he's still playing the role of the interviewer, and she's playing the role of the wrestler and all that. But it's sort of like, basically starts it off as like, we remember when we were here. A lot has changed since then, and then he goes in to talk about like, whatever, like this is the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
Which makes sense,
but it was so. I don't want to say toned down, but toned down for Graves.
Okay.
And it was enough that I just kind of noticed it, and I was just like...
He doesn't seem like his usual effervescent self.
Like, he could have a separate role in... Like, if they weren't going to use him on commentary, he could be the guy, not in the back in the locker room getting a quick word from somebody, but, like, when it comes time to do, like, actual sit-down interviews with people... I think he'd be really good for that. Like, if he can flip the switch like he did tonight and sort of do this sort of low-key person-to-person, I thought it was really good. It was just a little, like, pre-tape that was on the kickoff. You blink and you'll miss it. I'm sure half the people listening to us right now either didn't see it or ignored it or whatever. But it was just a little less. You know what I mean?
No, I perfectly get
it was
that.
nice. The other thing I really liked, speaking of like production stuff, is how they put the video packages together before each match, and you see those video packages on the kickoff, and then you see them later in the pay-per-view, like before each actual match. All the pre-match video packages for each match tonight were available on WWE's YouTube channel from about midday today.
Oh, nice.
And I just watched them back to back to back, and it's like I know I'm going to see them again on the kickoff, and I know I'm going to see them again on the pay-per-view, but it was one of those, like, do you pregame before your pregame for people that, like, want to get hyped about it before the show is even, like, starting? I thought that was kind of cool, just little bits of video bait to get people excited for the show that's to come. I thought that was a nice touch. I don't know if they've done that before today. I just happened to notice it today.
Absolutely, and what we're getting is people's feedback in the chat, which I'm excited to get. So what did you guys think overall for tonight's show? We've got one more match, the main event to discuss. What did you think? Liz says 8.5 out of 10. You guys can see the chat over here. Nice to have people chiming in. We appreciate it. So thank you guys for coming in over my face there, but we'll go ahead and make it a little more opaque so you can slide over there. But we'll see what everybody has to say. I'm excited to know what you guys think. Spaz gives it an 11 out of 13. I'm all for that. I think I would give tonight an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. I think I'm at an 8 overall. Yeah. Because we got the next match, as I said, Bayley has been a conqueror of the week and weekend. She wrestled on, Monday with Raw. She wrestled on SmackDown. She wrestled on NXT. She's been all over the place. She's just been going and going. She was part of, or not on SmackDown, she was part of the NBA
Keep talking, I gotta
Celebrity
find
Job. Yeah, go right ahead. And we went ahead and we found her just conquering tonight. So Bayley hits Perez with a really big uppercut. And I loved the moment where each girl was just striking whoever was in front of them. So Julia's hitting Bayley, and Bayley then hits Roxanne. It's like everybody was just attacking everyone. It was a cool little back and forth that made total sense. I really liked when Julia and Bayley hit Cora with a double suplex. Like seeing them work together for a while was nice. And then all of a sudden... Yeah, go right ahead, please.
I found it, and it was reposted by Punk because Punk was really putting over Bayley tonight. But I've seen it around Twitter as well. All the matches that Bayley has had tonight on Raw, on NXT, and on the show tonight are all with people that have shared pictures of meeting her as a kid. Right. So there's a picture of Lyra Valkyria meeting her at a meet and greet, and then there's the picture of her and Lyra fighting on Raw. There's her meeting Cora Jade as a kid, and then them fighting on NXT. There's her, obviously, and Roxanne, and then the match tonight. I guess the Cora Jade one works twice, but I think that's really cool. There you go. You got the picture. The other picture
I got the post from Punk. He says, I want to spotlight this lady today. Tore it up Monday on Raw in Nashville, flew to Orlando and crushed it Tuesday on NXT. Is in the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game Friday. Then flies all the way across the country to D.C. and will main event tonight's NXT show. Inspirational. Fueled by coffee. In love with the grind. I see you, Bayley. Role model. My hero. So really cool to see from Punk. I loved having that moment from them.
Man, it's so terrible that we got Punk back in WWE.
I know, right? With him just putting over other females, but that's what he was doing in AEW as well. He was buying the females a bunch of stuff. He was in the sense of like he was buying them dinner all the time, or getting them flowers as a thank you, and things like that. Like he was there for them to be like
Liz was there leader. For the Lyra Bayley match on Raw this past Monday, and she said it was great. So
Jordan Grace put up a post that said, developmental wear, and then she put it up in Japanese and Spanish as well, so both Julia and Jordan Grace can understand. So she posted it, with all three languages, English, Japanese, and Spanish. So
okay,
come on.
C Money, you're bringing the gimmick over from the other show. 0 out of 10, no Trish. You got Trish on Friday. We're gonna have Trish at Chamber. 0 out of 10. No
I don't blame C Money. I mean, he's right. No Trish.
That's some wrestling for life.
Trish was my original crush, and then I just got into Stephanie McMahon. There was something about Stephanie that was like the boss's daughter. Oh, you dirty girl! Like you knew she wanted to be beaten rough, but
Juan Salazar giving it 8.5 out of 10.
Juan's not crazy. He said mainly because Stephanie versus Fallon. I agree. The triple threat, Javon versus Ethan, the fatal four-way, and Jordan Grace at the end. Jordan was a great surprise. Trish will be at the Chamber. Yeah, she's going to be there.
That's going to be a fun match.
I'm excited for that. The Chambers, you're going to be there in person. Knock that off your bucket list, sir.
Bro, they've got a KO and Sammy Brawl. They've got Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton as a tag team.
There was a quick botch tonight, too, where like Julia went for a weird move and Bayley, and Corey's like, that was ugly but effective, and people were immediately calling it out. See, Julia's overrated. Julia, I'm like, are you kidding me? One botch, and that's all you can focus on? Meanwhile, they both toss Cora and Roxanne into each other, and then Julia hits Cora with a double suplex with Bayley, so fuck you guys. It's like... Then Roxanne saves Cora, and I loved how they turned on each other later in the match because Julia gets Perez in the crossface, and then all of a sudden Roxanne gets Julia, she counters it and puts her in her own crossface, and Julia's got her feet and she's like, oh my god, and Perez gets her with Northern Lights bomb, so Bayley jumps in and Cora breaks up Roxanne's pin. It was super close. They were like 1-2, another near fall. Bayley goes ahead and she gets the big side suplex and the Bayley to belly, and then all of a sudden Bayley hits Julia with the sunset buckle bomb, and I'm like, shit, Bayley might get this, but that's when the crowd sees the tower power spot between Cora when they all four of them do the suplex out of the corner. And I think it was we got the "This is awesome" chant.
There's only so much you can do with it, but they did a little bit different version of the Tower of Doom. It wasn't just suplex powerbomb. It was like powerbomb to somebody who was doing a side suplex to somebody who was doing a butterfly suplex. So yes, you get the criticism of multi-person match. You're going to get a Tower of Doom spot, but at least.
But it works very well for all of them to be in the corner, and it made sense because Cora's hitting Bayley with the dirty DDT, and then after they break up the pin, they're all like in the corner, and then Bayley who is it? Julia hits Cora and Perez both with the back suplexes because they were arguing with each other, and she gets them both. And then all of a sudden, Cora just gets them up, and they all go up and over. So it was like perfectly sold. Then, when they all got to their feet, this is what I was talking about before, they had that slugfest. And they were everybody was hitting everybody. It was believable. Cora hitting Roxanne, hitting Jade, it was like, all right, let's see, everybody just take everybody down. I loved it. But there's more. So, we get Julia to go ahead and first, Cora hits Roxanne with the Dirty Deeds DDT. And then Julia goes ahead and stops that and knocks out Cora with the big knee. And that looked fucking excellently brutal. All of a sudden, Julia comes around. She hits Roxanne with the running knee. She gets the Northern Lights bomb. 1, 2, 3. Julia is still our women's champion. But, Spaz, after an 18-minute, 30-second match, what did we get?
Pause. Want to throw in another nice little thing here, right? Because
I'm freezing.
This was it was dressed up and there was extra people in it, but this was the rematch between the champion and the former champion, right? Like Cora Jade was brought in to help Roxanne Perez. Bayley came back down to sort of like spice up the story a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, it was a rematch of two people with four people in it. And the whole thing is Julia has distinctly beaten Roxanne Perez. This is Roxanne Perez's last shot at her. You want to solidify her taking the torch from Roxanne Perez.
Yeah.
Roxanne Perez being the one to eat the pin in this match is going under the radar as a really important element that I don't think anybody's talking about.
I agree with you there, and the thing is, too, is like Roxanne has been overdue to be called up for a long time now because of how talented she is, because of everything she's accomplished. Yeah. Shout out to Triple M in the chat. Heard the show was good. It was great. It was a lot of fun. It was predictable, but predictable is good nowadays, and they had enough surprises during and after that made it effective. It was a fun watch. I give it an 8 out of 10. We're wrapping up here shortly, but getting into the end here, like I said, we get Julia for the win, and then Stephanie Vacour's music hits. She comes out, and as you called exactly, we get that, Eddie and Benoit moment. So weird to say his name, right? And immediately I text you, and I was like, God damn, you were good. I said something along the lines of you being Sir Nostradamus, but there's more in honor of Scream.
But wait,
there's more. And what did we get? The former TNA Knockout Champion, 2-time Rumble entrant and conqueror, the one, the only, Jordynne Grace comes out. As we saw before, we saw her hit the alarm. We heard the siren. Jordynne is there. I am surprised she went to NXT, honestly. I thought she was going to go straight to the main roster. I don't hate it either. I mean, the crowd was going nuts. We hear Stephanie come out, and then you hear Corey Graves yell, "Oh, God, guys, I got to play a little bit of it. The champ is here! She is here, and she is NXT." And we hear them say it. She is NXT. She is here, and she is NXT. The crowd chants, "Holy shit." We get the three of them in the ring. It's an epic moment.
Jordynne Grace is here.
Holy shit, as the crowd chants.
And as the credits come up and say Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Lee Fitting.
Jordynne Grace will be on NXT this Tuesday. She said it into the camera.
Oh, I missed that.
Sees you on Tuesday, she said as she walked out. I don't think you would have heard it, but it was on Fightful. She said it right into the camera. So okay. I love that they posted that.
So what are your two key headlines going into this Tuesday's NXT? Ricky Starks and Jordynne Grace.
Yeah, we're going to see his, we don't know who he is, but his contract signing, and then we're going to also see Jordynne Grace.
You know what I love, right? I would love, obviously, Jordynne Grace to pick up a title in NXT before she moves on to the main roster. But there's also a value in not putting a title on her for the other people that are in NXT, in the sense of if you want to throw a pay-per-view together, you can have somebody with a women's title match, you could have somebody with a North American title match, and you could have somebody with a Jordynne Grace match.
Absolutely.
Like WrestleMania, it's such an easy comparison to make, but it's like you can, like, you go to WrestleMania, you could have a gimmick match, you could have a title match, or you could have an Undertaker match.
Exactly.
Jordynne Grace could be the Undertaker of NXT. But at the same time,
she really could. And would you complain?
Putting her in that role, I wouldn't. But
I mean, how is she not the easiestly booked thing going forward? I mean, I said it to Spaz. I've said it to you. I've said it to everybody. I've said it to Seth Negan. I've said it to Cody. This is how this is going to go. Yeah, the NBA is still going live. So Grand Slam is not yet happening. We just checked in. You can hear it in the background. The NBA is still having their show happen on TNT Sports.
People are playing with their balls.
They're playing with their balls. So no Grand Slam yet at 10:48 p.m. It looks like it's going to happen at midnight Eastern Standard Time. That's upsetting, Spaz. That's late. Damn. Especially for a tape show that we already know the results of. Like, yikes. But Jordynne Grace versus Stephanie versus Julia, I don't know, Juan. Like, do we see her challenge all three, or do we see her take on one? Well, imagine if Jordynne Grace takes both belts from both of them.
Ooh.
I'm not saying it'll happen, but, like, oh my God, right?
You could turn a certain section of the fan base off with that. I think there's a way to do it where it's good, but with all the... And I
by not making her Goldberg. I mean, you don't want to make her infallible either.
I hate that this is a conversation to have, but with the amount of criticism that the WWE TNA deal has, because people hate to see people that aren't them succeed.
Yeah.
There's this idea, they're just doing the TNA thing so that they can steal all their talent. Look, they're gonna pick up Jordynne Grace and they're gonna belt her to the nines and they're gonna use her as the example to steal everybody else. And it's like, but didn't that happen?
Take her down a peg, yeah.
Didn't that happen with Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay and Okada?
How dare you say
that?
How dare you? Yeah, the belt collector, Big Len knows. We can see Jordynne Grace be the next belt collector. That would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, imagine, and that's a great way to send people up. I wouldn't mind
it. I just think they have to be careful how they do it, because it opens them up to.
I wouldn't want it either, but
it opens them up to such obvious criticism that I can see the tweets being pre-typed before they even do anything.
That's the thing. It's a fun idea, but I wouldn't go with it. I wouldn't have her take both belts because you can't unify them. You can't. But I could see her going after Julia, and I could see Stephanie certainly going after Julia at some point too. The thing is, right now it's supposed to be like, the best of friends, Julia and Stephanie. They came in together. They're going to stay together. They're going to support each other. But how long until one of them loses and they go after the other? Julia is a
See
great
money.
heel. Julia is such a good
money
heel
making, an
that I'm
excellent
disappointed
point.
she's a face, Spaz. I really am. Not in like a heartbroken way, but like
she's got a lot of sarcasm to her. So
exactly.
I
Wait
don't
till you
think she's
see
like
her
squeaky
shine.
Clean I
She's
think
not a
Simone
squeaky
makes an
clean
excellent
baby
point
face.
in
She's
the
not.
chat though.
Yeah.
NBA Twitter is going to be wild when they switch over and they see Tony Khan getting booed at his own show, or remember how they roasted Jericho, or have a serious chance to make an impact on a new audience.
Remember how bad they're like, that's Chris Jericho? They flamed him last time. The NBA ripped Jericho apart. They're like, who is
Anybody
this tubby
watching
lard
anything
of
good
shit?
that accidentally trips into AEW is gonna have.
And that's the thing. I used to support
who's
AEW. I would be defending them, but they fucked
ski
themselves over.
The ski instructor from South Park.
Yes.
If you AEW when you're supposed to WWE,
Pizza
you're
instead
gonna
of
have
French
a bad
fries,
time.
you're going to have a bad time. If you pizza instead of French fries. It's funny how those
if you book
things
Sasha
like
Banks in a match and you think the match is going to be good, you're
you're
going to
gonna
have a bad time.
Her and Harley Cameron. I don't know what we're gonna get. I mean, that's a bout for the ages. I'd like to see her and her puppets, but I'll tell you what, my friend, Vengeance Day.
Mercedes
I'm
versus
excited.
competency is a match for the ages.
Right? I mean, can she not creatively book herself into a corner in that one? If she takes on herself, what? Her in a mirror, who's going to win?
Belt the puppet. Just belt the puppet.
The puppet's got a lawsuit out with her, so we'd be careful to bring that up. But
Cease and desist.
yeah, what do you give NXT overall tonight with Vengeance Day? I want your final rating, sir.
All jokes aside, I know I put the 11 out of 13 out there because that's another joke from the other stream. But honestly, I'm going 9.
9?
Like,
I'm going 8.5.
To me, like I've already talked about it, they kind of fell down with the strap match a little bit, but not to anybody's fault in any degree. So it's only a minor setback in my opinion.
Yes.
So it's the only thing keeping me from going maybe 9.5 or 10, but I'm going to stick with a 9.
I'm excited. Like Feifel said, Jordan Grace, see you on Tuesday. I mean, we've got everything to look forward to this Tuesday with NXT. Santino appearing was fun. I like the new Shield group that we have.
There we go. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Coming out of the Santino
please.
conversation.
Continue.
I know what I want this to be. I don't think it's necessary, because we've talked about forever, are they going to do a multiverse of matches thing? Are they going to do a Worlds Collide thing?
It doesn't seem that way.
If they do,
okay,
do you think, because TNA is already doing something on the Thursday, but they have done TNA and NXT shows back to back on weekends and stuff like that?
Yeah.
For 1 year only, don't make it an every year thing, but just for this year to celebrate the new deal, do you make it Stand and Deliver Worlds Collide as part of WrestleMania weekend?
I think that could be something.
That could be something special, but that could also fall down.
That could really fuck them, too. I think because the way they're doing Stand and Deliver on Saturday before Mania.
Midday.
Yeah, I think that's a whole thing in its own. Because, I mean, and I'm looking at Jordan Grace post her thigh pictures before. She said lazy weekend, and oh my God, she is just incredible. The transformation. I mean, you think about when she went into TNA. She was chubby. She was like this very thick girl that was so agile, and I was like, damn, for a heavy-set girl, she can really move, and she's got a lot of power. And the way she refined herself and worked out and exercised, it's really inspiring. I know people make.
And you know what? She's gone.
They make the testosterone jokes and the steroid
yeah.
jokes, but she passed the
There's
wellness
people,
policy.
There's people out there saying, "Oh my God, how does Trish Stratus look younger than Jordan Grace?" And the answer is because you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, she went from. There's the obvious thing, like she's a powerhouse, right? And she does like insane shit that guys can't even do, right? She went from. I'm going to try and say this respectfully. She went from one kind of big to another kind of big. She's never been small, but in both scenarios, she's deceptively fast.
She is deceptively fast, and I don't know if you have anything else to comment on NXT tonight. But before we get out of here, I want to bring one thing to your attention. This is a total. I'm gonna sidewind you. I'm catching you off guard. Usually you do it to me on the podcast. Obviously, the State of Wrestling. You and I every Wednesday now instead of Thursday, putting together the State of Wrestling on your YouTube channel. You go ahead and release that on Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can find your podcast. Yeah, you are out there, and we're promoting the State of Wrestling. You and I, we touch upon everything usually, and obviously NXT and with their TNA focus has been a lot of our focus, but we do touch upon everything. And with the main roster, this is something I saw earlier. So it was tweeted out just a little while ago by Jobber Nation TV, and he's been pretty accurate. So he said, according to my sources, there's no one to blame for the booking of WrestleMania 41, the Rocky booking, except for The Rock. The reason being, WWE Creative was hesitant to move forward with any plans due to The Rock leaving them in limbo in regards for WrestleMania 41. It was initially believed that he would face Cody at WrestleMania. He agreed to such, and those were the plans. Then, he decided to move it to Roman Reigns. Now, nobody in WWE knew what The Rock would want to do. He came out for the debut on Netflix, and that's when The Rock decided at that very moment he could not perform up to the standards he felt he put himself up to, and pulled out. Hence the weird interaction we saw that night where he put over everything with him and Cody. So The Rock, when he came out, decided, I'm not going to be a heel. I'm not going to be the final boss. I'm going to be a babyface.
I'm going to set like 5 stories on
so,
fire.
Exactly. So as a result, Reigns isn't sure what he'll be doing at Mania. Cody's plans have switched multiple times, and everything's up in the air. The Rock screwed WrestleMania. How do you feel about this news? What do you think? I mean, it's pretty cut and dry, but I want to know your immediate reaction, your takeaway.
But I think, okay, it's frustrating, and it's got to be frustrating, but also the people that are in charge of making it make sense, you're paid to do that. That's your job. So if you're frustrated, you're having a frustrating day at the office. The other problem with that is any show, any pay-per-view, any Monday Night Raw, and especially any WrestleMania with how big it is, could have one contributing factor that throws everything into a blender. The fact that this particular factor is The Rock, and The Rock will get headlines, is why this becomes the conversation a lot, rather than, we moved 3 or 4 things around on this particular show because so-and-so got sick, and therefore so-and-so had to do this. Like,
yeah,
there's 1,000 things that will change a show that we will never hear about.
Like Grand Slam is being live now. They're live tape, but they're live now. So we got Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay taking on Takeshita and Fletcher. So,
all right, but I think like it's not a very sexy answer. It's just the honest answer I can give you right now. There's 100 things that can change a show. One of those things is The Rock, and The Rock is what you're hearing about because it's The Rock. So I'm not as hyped about it, and worried about it as some other people out there are. Not saying whoever you read that from, I'm sorry, I've already forgotten the name. I'm not saying that they're wrong. It could be
that was Jobber
right.
Nation. I mean, but according to their sources, but they've been accurate previously before, and it explains a lot of the jerky booking because Triple H having to scramble to put together a new card because of The Rock's massive Hollywood ego. So they're saying that he was probably told he'd face Cody or Roman, but he didn't want that, so he cowardly took his ball and ran home. That's kind of the sentiment going around from fans at this point in time, and it's hard to disagree because we saw now, it's like, well, where's Roman going? Between a triple threat with Punk and Seth? That's not great. And what about Cody? Oh, now it's going to be Cena and Punk? Okay, that's better than not, but it doesn't make a total bunch of sense, you know? Like, so the 3 faces, essentially, like, and to turn Punk heel for just that match.
We wouldn't have had this problem 3 or 4 years ago, and yes, I'm going to go into defend WWE mode here. Like 5 years ago, we would have thought, okay, there's guy A and guy B. They're fighting at WrestleMania because they're the only ones getting treated with any kind of focus. Everybody else is kind of fucked. Everybody else is going to kind of fit on the card wherever they fit. Now, the fact that, yes, they might be shuffling between one option and another, but the fact that they've built up like 10 or 12 guys that could main event WrestleMania in any given combination is a shot in the arm for how the company is doing, how the roster and the builds and the stories and that are going. Anyways, you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying, and it's like this is a roster. We have other opportunities.
They can't decide between this option, and this option. Well, isn't it great that they have this option and this option and this option? 5 years ago,
we would have been stuck.
5 years ago, it would have been John Cena versus whoever the champion is, and if John Cena gets sick or stubs his toe, we're not having WrestleMania this year.
Well, think about how WrestleMania 32 played out, or was it 31? I think it was 32, right? Because everybody from the year before was sick, like that year.
Yeah.
And, 32, because Seth Rollins was injured, and, like, everybody was, Cena was gone, he wasn't able to compete. The Rock did, like, a 6-second match with the Wyatts. Like, nothing worked out to span for what they had in mind for that Mania because of all the illnesses and injuries. So it sucked, and a lot of shit went wrong, and we've seen that before. And if you're not going to show the proof, goddammit, then don't come to our house. I'm telling you, I'm sick of this bullshit. Show the proof or get the fuck out. Yeah, Grand Slam is happening right now. Like I said, we got Omega and Ospreay taking on Fletcher and Takeshita. So not anything that's really going to draw me. I think we're going to see the Dream Team win there, as we jokingly predicted. But it seems like The Rock screwed WrestleMania plans, and we know he's done this before. He went ahead and he had plans last year to wrestle on both nights. That changed. Then he was going to go ahead and just have him face Roman. And then we know how that played out with Cody. But we've seen The Rock come in and kind of dishevel things. He did it to Punk. Punk wasn't supposed to lose his title. Then The Rock is like, oh, no, I want to face Cena again. Even though we did it once in a lifetime, it's going to be twice in a lifetime.
Yeah, but remember when the dirt sheets were insisting that thing he put in Cody's hand the day after WrestleMania was a Royal Rumble number, and he was going to elbow in on the Royal Rumble. Well, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. Everybody seems to think that it was a bead from the necklace, meaning like, oh, you're the real tribal chief. And
that's weird.
It could be something.
I'm not saying I necessarily would have wanted to see The Rock show up in the Rumble, but if a year out, what he stuck in Cody's hand before he left was a Royal Rumble number,
yeah,
that would have been a cool story, especially if it was a Royal Rumble Tumblr thing that had a 31 on it.
Absolutely, I think that would have been cool for him to play, like, you know, with the story there, but. I mean, as we get into the end
gives the
here,
Royal Rumble number to his daughter, and Ava becomes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Ava versus Nia Jax.
We did hear reports recently. We brought this on the State of Wrestling.
She's going to be more active.
She is going to have a bigger role, and I mean, she's already involved in multiple scenes, you know, in segments throughout the night. So for her to have a bigger role, we'll see what happens. She didn't do great in Schism and wrestling, but they did transfer her up. I think she's been a decent GM. I don't think it's her fault for the storyline.
I think the meeting
between
her, if they show it on TV on Tuesday, I think the meeting between her and Santino is going to be hilarious. Like, they're going to make some like legitimate announcement at some point. But Liz, I know you like video games. I was just kidding. It's fine. They're going to make some announcements. They're going to do something.
She'll beat you over those
big.
games, Spaz. Don't worry. You know, she'll kick your ass if you mess with her games.
Giggity.
That's right.
Anyways,
anything else to add to tonight, though?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Like, just to finish my
thought
with
finish
Santino there. I think it's going to be a funny meeting. I think there's going to be a whole lot of wink and nod. It was like, oh, the person that's being the liaison between our two companies is my daughter, but we're not going to say it's my daughter. And you're the Rock's daughter. You're the medium level boss, as some people are calling her now. I think we're going to get some comedy out of that, and we're also going to get some pretty decent announcements out of that. If it's not a full-fledged crossover event, there's definitely going to be some more crossover matches, some more
a strap match.
I'm playing some of the audio here. We talked.
Ava will appear more often on. Ava will appear on screen more often as a beaver with a belly ring.
Yeah.
Thank you, C Money.
Hey, C Money knows what's up.
I don't know what we're doing.
We're hearing from Eddie Thorpe here. I'm going to play a little bit of the audio quickly, but he's talking about feeling vindicated after
against
his win
Trick Williams in your first.
Trick Williams.
Sarah,
he tells
to
Sarah
honor
that
Wahoo,
to honor Wahoo
for my people,
for his people,
but first and foremost,
for
me.
For him.
What have I been doing since?
Said,
Main
events,
NXT Championship matches, PLEs. It took me 2 years to get on a PLE here, and I'm sorry for yelling, Sarah.
He's like, I'm sorry for yelling, but you know, it makes sense. He feels vindicated after Trick.
I already know. I am feeling more and more like myself.
I'll give him that much.
He said he's feeling more like himself as every day passes. I love that. I love the character progression. I'm excited to see where it goes. Like you said, with the Native American roots before, it's interesting. We know Trish is going to return at the Chamber. You will be there live, so unfortunately I won't have you that night, but we'll be taking calls live. I know Liz and a few others want to chime in. But,
I'll try to send you some videos from the event.
Yeah, it's going to be a great night to have you go ahead and chime in as always. Yes. I hope you can go ahead and, you know, be a part of the review from far away, but we'll go ahead and we'll make sure it works the best we can that night. But we will be live for the debut episode on Tubi for WWE Evolve, and we'll be live on the road to WrestleMania for the Elimination Chamber and a few other shows as well. So don't you worry. You can find me each week guest hosting on The State of Wrestling with Spaz Phoenix. Spaz, go ahead and tell them where they can find you, my good man.
I mean, you can stay right here on YouTube and look up the Spaz Phoenix podcast. You can go to Rumble. I would love to see more people over on Rumble and look up the Spaz Phoenix podcast. You can go to Spotify, good old reliable Spotify that doesn't have censors whatsoever, and look up the Spaz Phoenix podcast, as well as on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I think I'm on Amazon as well, but honestly, I haven't checked. Same thing, Spaz Phoenix podcast. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spaz Phoenix. And yeah, if you weren't listening to this live and you want to hear the replay of this will also be available on all of those platforms as well sometime before the end of the weekend, because I'm lazy and I'm going to go to sleep now.
Exactly. You'll have that up, and it'll be live for people to check out the audio version only. If you're listening to this on audio, go ahead and check me out, youtube.com/either Countdown Ended or Jake DeMarco, DeMarco. You guys have tuned in here, so please hit subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. If you're not tuning in live, let us know what you thought of NXT Vengeance Day. Give us your rating out of 10. Let us know what you liked the most. Which match was your favorite? What did you like the least? What do you want to see with this new Shield group? Your questions and comments down below. We'll comment on them on the State of Wrestling. Again, that's been Spaz Phoenix. I've been Jake. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all had a great Valentine's Day. I hope you all have a great night. And as always, stay sexy.
Valentine's Day, except my ass, okay?